ask me if it's a just war. That's not up to us. To us, it's just war.
Military mind in the military time. Military mind in the military time. Military mind in the military time. Crossing enemy lines, war morals and tango. Once they show me the ropes, I show you warrior strangle. Separate bodies, 6-degree angles. High caliber grip when he rambles. From his tip, bionic lip equipped with the handles. Could have careers crippled and shamble. It's vandal. Michael Jordan fans know nobody with my ammo. Nightmare to the son of Samuel. Spit with the camels, my energy's camel. Anger I channel, use it like a radical Tamil. Got tried as a terrorist, then my hammer spat at your panel. Weapons are formed, had to dismantle. Handle it manual, left it to God. I'm on the path to a manual. Such a thrill and feel of a life giver. I catch your body, I deliver. You catch your body, you a killer. So I'm not your typical digger. Every time I rhyme, I pull a trigger. Military mind in the military time. Military mind in the military time. Military mind in the military time. Not like a newsie, I'm a broken toolie in a ghetto movie. Might explode if you let them use me. Usually cool, I.e. to identify me. You should probably be thinking highly. Trying to find wisdom where I be. While I be dodging, listening, missing the missiles whistle by me. Wonder what they pay to try to buy me. Kingfisher play to bad me. Got me thinking all I need is my family. Sometimes I think all I need is a Grammy. To cure the Alzheimer's, to cure my granny. And anyone who understand me. Even the ones that try to ban me. We all kids if the world is candy. Watch what you hand me, I won't let you hang me. I'm never going back to that place again. On a new path, not a pace of sin. You should pay it back, you should take it in. I tied up one of my homies' legs, one of my homies' arms. Hope to die before losing my one and my only mom. Terror in my eyes, you worried about Saddam. I watch the temperature rise between us who get it on. When you hear the song, the message has no discretion. Pull up in the tank so the people know my aggression. Store Hannibal's weapon. Try to test him when class is in session, he'll dissect the lesson. Leave your body parts in the West End. Military mind in the military time. Military mind in the military time. Military mind in the military time. Alright.
Various things we learn as we live, like the experience, wisdom to give attention to that self that's in. Time has been the main form of this versus measurement. It's evident based on life's compliment that we were purposing. Still we're meant to do more. Whispers a voice at the core, which turns into a roar whenever we rhyme on the floor. Memories before now, have me reflecting how prophesizing on monopolizing like they do the cow. Correction, since they refer to deal with deception in all direction, it's for self-inspection into perfection. No perplexing, just speaking, respecting those that's teaching, reflections that are reaching to that point where they preach you. The concept of borderlines, intertwining out an angel, either in a demon spy, my cons, always ready to build, feeling the battle drills, knowing that we will. Too much necessary to hail the ill to the mind of a soldier, growing in the North colder. So consequently, as we've gotten older, gotten bolder, rhymes solo when they trigger that pioneer spirit. Hear it inform it and spit it out a conduit, no doubt. We about profitable gain. Gucci check a lick change. Similar, you're not the same as those who just seek to get pain. Emphasizing calm restraint, focusing on loss and pain. Tearing like the rain, we switch our add on as we maintain.
Military mind in the military time. Military mind in the military time. Military mind in the military time.
Yeah. IHF, what up? CMP, what up? Masons think they add up with they tack down tassels. Watch me send you rope to Albion in a lasso. Caucasoid hybrid, sun burns your eyelids. To the human fam, we created a virus. Some help to build, but most destroy. A future through melanin girls and melanin boys. Fast food, television, miseducation. Mr. History stole the rights from our nation. National appellation, not in all capitals. Tribes of nobles and noblesse with woven crest. Fezzes and sashes, shawls and vests. On Ashkenazi Jews, I put an alpha hex, omega the rest. Without a bloody mess, left dead in some Nikes like David Koresh. Burn out your temple with myrrh and frankincense. To work a ritual, it's all about intent and invent. Melanin, the magic dust, trust me. I shave for all of Puna while all the Orishas love me, trust me. Black candles, we got red ones too. When lit with every fake, this is deja vu. With no Denzel, cause Washington won the Grammy. He doesn't even know Washington is his granny. Could've sniped Wesley, but went for tax evasion. Moors and cards, facing these judge masons. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Give back your holy books, call me rebellious slave. Give back your story, there's more truth in mine. Give back your crucifix, hanging tributes and swine. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Give back your holy books, call me rebellious slave. Give back your story, there's more truth in mine. Give back your crucifix, hanging tributes and swine. Coming to you from the blackness in peyote teepees. Not the head rush from ice or sucking freezies. You could choose to research, don't believe me. Key of life songs cause inner visions and wonders like Stevie. Walk through the world under. Your mind feels like tundra soil. Hit you like Shango when my blood's on boil. Come as Allah or Batala. With one eye for sight, I can see from afar. Mermaids and mermen cry for tadpoles and jars. Trying to get the serious, they call it mission to Mars. To get you not looking, distract attention. Not to mention, but they have your brains in a lasso. And your pineal gland tattooed. With designs calcified, my height is amplified. To levels so deep, my flow is amphibious style. Leaving clansmen bloody in a hideous pile. Not like King Leonidas and Spartan saying 300 to call a legion of raw. You must be fronting like European pharaohs before the 18th dynasty. Coming and killing me and saying they nasty. One golden firewall so you can't catch me. Have to jack your beat cause the shit's catchy. Sometimes the fake proves my face screw like little Scrappy. And at the piggies with the scanners trying to speed trap me. Cause I'm repping blue bloods wanna cap me. I told you, boys in blue thinking I'm a Crip soldier. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Give back your holy books, call me rebellious slave. Give back your soul, there's Moorish truth in mine. Give back your crucifix, hanging tributes and swine. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Give back your holy books, call me rebellious slave. Give back your soul, there's Moorish truth in mine. Give back your crucifix, hanging tributes and swine. On the real, fake boys know the deal. Yo, Red Kid, what up? That's how we do it. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Call me rebellious slave.
Because nobody so talk about that. Many of them still in this movement. You understand what I'm saying? To kill the civil side of this movement. So people can think it's just another black religious Islamic sect. You get? That was their mission. To establish that fake reality, not reality, but that fake appearance of reality, that semblance, that color to the people. Which is the color that most people have of the Moorish movement now, and anyone says that's not true is a liar, because that's the concept that people have of this movement. Until we came out and started reaching out to them while everybody else was being silent, condemning us for doing it too. And we put literature out there to change their concepts, so they can have something to reference to. You understand? Just like the prophet said do. Exactly what the prophet said do. People mad at us, still mad at us for it. I don't care. Because I'm not in it for them. I got babies, and they got babies, and they got babies, and the babies that's still in the womb, and I ain't having it. And I'm a soldier. I came as a defender So nobody always. That's why I do what I do. I'm telling you blunt. And I ain't afraid.
Mufti force of the conscious game. Superstars won't spend all those G's just a supercar. I'd rather put the funds to Mufti force guns. Dr. Sebi remedy in trucks, skids and tons. Signing bonus, give to Gabriel or Eagle. Or UMIA, let more replace Negro. I'm not the face watcher or friend beggar. I'm not the type to take back what I tell ya. Tight pants and dry clothes, I want a Rockefeller. Black hawk down, a fly rapper and snap propellers. Airspace in these bars are no flow zones. I heard R&B singers are homo drones. I heard that from a gay rapper dressing so thug. G's can't pass butt cheeks, dressing so snug like a snuggle bear, showing me your underwear. Rapper Inquisition make rappers run from fear of being shown up. You already thrown up, punchlines and hooks leave their face swole up. Or like the triad, if you don't pay what's owed up. Rapper Inquisition, horror flick, the lips sewn up. Can't go one-on-one for IHF sewn up. Using the fiat and deals, pumping their clones up. Making more rap clones like iRobot. Short circuit the whole industry of rap robots. That what's boinking. Working with the ones oinking. Hip-hop's hurting IHF, the vocal ointment. Flow like a break waves and b-boy girl dancers. Spit like pain of old school graphers. Keen for the true hip-hop scratching like a producer. MC OGs with content that you're used to. Fiending for true hip-hop scratching like a producer. MC OGs with content that you're used to.
They want make we life hard like pavement. Me no fear to make my statement. Babylon no run with the mental and physical enslavement. Think right now if we all live like cavemen. How much go dead out, how much now go make it. The righteous replace them, the most I erase them. Discrimination, play a game with nation. Unity is strength, weak with separation. Jail houses meant to deplete elevation. Wisdom visit under deep meditation. All you have to see under sleep meditation. Herbs are the healing of the nation. Tell them police, they not stop chase. Man, especially since we know the pole no place. That's flirt of the truth. They know say you can't take that. See them chat, yeah, this rasta. Not take back, you don't know.
Couldn't grasp half of the shit that we've been through. These clip ass niggas making comments on YouTube. TorontoRappers.com talking about YouTube. Generation switch, shouldn't have to show you. Big man, grow bitch, don't worry about the old school. Haven't seen a man you used to see before. Cause certain man don't want the face see no more. Get off our dicks, your pussies is hard. Tendencies of a bitch, you should learn to be a Moor. And while you're hating, we'll keep repping T.O. and celebrating, cause enough soldiers soon home. We penetrating, got the locks and the codes. So do your own time, bro. We alright. Everybody on their own ground, but we still tight. It's just a miscommunication, which brothers don't fight. You need an occupation, or I forgot you tight. Shit about other man, cause you covered their life. But your business you should mind though, cause we work nights. And you ain't hard to find what's darkness comes to light. And I don't care, you can take my flesh life here. I manifest, and I come back in your nightmares. And I kill you there, I've been traveling for light years. I can't die, but they won't see you horny or you won't wake up. Need to call the coroner, another wake up. Your boys will be corona, cause they slept. Reminiscing while the morning saying what the. Just yesterday we was vlogging with each other. Shouldn't have. With just another brother and the rest of the camp. 2 decades straight, we've been making a stamp. Yay, I know you say you don't even know me. I make it clear I'm a Flemodon OG. Year to year, made stacks off the Mosies from the block to the bars. I'm known we between the rats and the stars. I play low-key looking down, and as far at the top, it's getting lonely.
Yeah. Of course, the agents that exist, whether or not it's from by my lips, labeled angelic or devilish, facing the view to behold against the older we get. Our perspectives and action change regardless, lines drawn between those that intend to hinder gain. Similar, not the same. See which other seat, the left to complain. The reference frame change, while still thinking life is a game. While we train, we battlefield, and when common kicks is real, my mental plus my tempo must be ready to switch from hurt to heal. It's true to reveal similarities since they be following orders accordingly from trust to destiny. So mercy's unnecessary, murder honorably with enemy, and as long as common mode exists, an opposition has to be. Contestment up, contestment up. Yeah, contest, I'll flatten your career, make a whack rap. Too many whack rappers out there. This one's for y'all, y'all. Simon, I'll flatten your career, make a whack rapper disappear. Grab you by your shirt back and kick your ass out of here. Bystanders run for cover cause I'm back to reap havoc. Remember me? To kill them all and make them die tragic. Turn the opposition, cock it back and let them have it. Let them vanish like I'm a magician and raps from magic. And like proof, you're gone. With the proof I'm on. To all your non-substance rappers, if you want, respond. Give y'all a second, but I recognize you're repping some metrosexual shit. That's not the way that I'm stepping. I studied last year's testing, skimmed the cheat sheets. So test me out, kill commercial rap like dead meat. If you don't know, I'm Simon Phoenix and I dead beats. Hung commercial rap on front page, I can't be discreet. Lyrically donkey, leaving bodies in tall heaps. No mortal can walk like I do, now bow and kiss my feet. Call me sire, throw out your skinny jeans and retire. Back you up against the wall with hail of gunfire. Sharp talent, shred your skins and shatter your bones. Stay out of the kitchen, better yet, drop the microphone. Steadily prepping better recipes. I rap till the end, but rap won't be the death of me. At a shower posse when I catch ya, I wet you, then blow you up the crime scene. All that's left is your stretcher. So test me now, make your fans convert. Have them wearing fatigues and burning tight pink ass shirts. Have them dashing out the flashy clothes like I'm not Tron. Nailing your pipe bombs, label the wannabe rap icon. Check me later, I'm gone. Thought I died, but I respond. My words are bondable, but when I speak, don't respond. A John shallow-minded MCs in a shallow pond. Mobilize a million men to march like I'm Farrakhan. But I'm more like Malcolm and my brother's son Falcon. Chasing crazy ball heads out of our town after I scalp them. Get up more than you can chew, motherfuckers. Come test me now. So test me now. So test me now.
It's still IHF, still ill, hunting feds. The type to leave a body guy leaking from his head. Dirty like the naps in my head. The enemies still want me dead, but mentally I cause their bodies to combust spontaneously. I be that ghetto dentist, removing chest cavities with my psychopathic surgery. My incision won't be circular, more like linear. My never stop arising, can you still hear me clear? There are no more texts. Messages only meant to mind blast to my comrades. Traders never overstand the task. Rather floss system type pants of money in their head. Big chains and rims spinning. My stone heads will leave your face smashed and ears ringing. I'ma get it soon beginning, so there's no time for sinning. When I finally kill the devil, I'ma hear these angels singing. Such a beautiful song.
You sat down and you attacked your master teacher because you thought you heard something that you didn't hear. That's the first violation. You don't come in. First of all, you come in and you act like you come and teach, but you don't. You got an agenda.
Moors of men upright, independent and fearless. Dogmatized, dirty Moors, punks cut out left earless, cause they never listen. Dirty Moors, keep up your slander. Wu-Tang torture in your ass, hot hangers. Kidnappers, dirty Moor, torture him like Saw. 3D, 0.5 or 1 through 4. Or get it like 5 or 6 with the fez on jigsaw. Leather face in a turban, rip dirty Moors lips off. Disrespecting the mother Raz Mariah Bay. Wrap him up like double crochet, the barbed wire way. Throw him off a bridge or feed him to the piranhas. Yellow journalists more spread nothing but propaganda. Idi Amin Bay, treat the temple like Uganda. Dirty Moors like foreigners, crush the dust like ganja. Not worthy of being Moors, we call them dirty the Jesus. Solomon Seal spell command 72 demons to get you.
This is what the temple guys actually say. That Canaan land is not a part of North America. Canaan land is bigger. Yo, it's ignorant, man. I mean, come on, you're talking about the same land, man. Canaan land is actually bigger than the land mass they know is the corporate United States. Almost twice as big. If they had any sense, They can just go to Google and they can type in North America and find out North America goes all the way up to Greenland. But they ignorant. They don't want to do that. They just dealing off emotion.
You might hear hoarse voices, see frog faces, and who's feet. Demons we run with, spit fire with gold wolf teeth. Keep playing, forget back teeth. New Moors are an issue, get Ginsu. Maybe a dream visit from Ishnu, a nightmare to never end and always continue. Cold as an igloo, dealing with my trust issues through vigilance. Active Moors are militants, SPLC dirty Moors call that sovereign citizen. Lying for views, they notice all the empty pews. Benz need gas and fixing, but not enough dues. Pigpen base sell you out for peanuts, claiming that we nuts for teaching birthright street level, keeping it beat nuts.
To any members of the MFTA that's out there listening to what I'm saying, please get it through your head. I don't have a problem with the MFTA. I got issues with
the cases Lamar, stay surrounded by feathers. Dirty's guilty of fraud if dually scrutinize their ledgers. Getting proclamations from Morocco, disrespect us. Corporate city only recognize people's court jesters. Hand in their back, Moorish puppets and minions. Never get the human rights recognition like Moors near Virginia. Commonwealth, for active Moors knowledge, the Commonwealth. Dirties claim more, but really on the straw man help. Authenticating a birth certificate, that's not significant. Similar to more two status syndicate. In more face, watch them two more status Indians claiming Turtle Island. Our lions so intricate.
long day and long night. But this message needed to be heard.
Don't ask.
It's a lot of Moors. Peace and love to all Moors worldwide. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali for being the man, bringing us everything that it takes to save a nation so we could be saved out here instead of being like these dumbasses that don't study. These dumbasses that don't study. These dumbasses that like to use dirty Moors as a reference point, talking about they're teaching somebody. These dumbasses that they're so against Moors, but they're going to call themselves Ali Bey and Grand Sheik and all that stuff, but they're against Moors. So our first stop is to deal with this Kurumeo, whoever, using dirty Moors as actually before that. I noticed something. Someone was asking about obtaining ID card and auto plates. First of all, the fact that you call it auto and plates, can't get those because you definitely haven't been studying if you're calling it an auto and you're calling those plates. You just put yourself right in their jurisdiction. They took your plates that you call them off, and then now they impound your stuff, and then now you're coming to blame Kudro and other Moors about how come they stole my stuff. And ID, you can go to Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs, rvbaypublications.com, go down to National ID card, push National ID card, read everything on that page, fill out your stuff, send in your stuff in, and you better have a fez or a turban so you can, when you take your passport picture, look like how you're supposed to look, your ancient foremothers and forefathers, and not look like a Negro, not wearing anything on, and claiming that you're a Moor, you're a national and all this stuff, and then they pull your picture on your ID, and you're just standing there with no national headdress. That's a first. Second, as far as tags are concerned, that will go on the conveyance, not the auto, the mode of conveyance. If you were studying, you would have went to the driver's license fraud page on RV Bay Publications and read all that. So this is not about you saw something on a YouTube and then you're gonna run out and go get something. That's how you get ganked for $800 for stuff. That's how you get ganked paying $1,500 and $8,000 for some papers that somebody stole from somebody else, and because you're a dumbass, now they sold it to you for $5,000. Real important that stop getting into I'm gonna be a Moor to get stuff. That's not what this is about. This is about going back to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. And if you have their mindset, you realize, you know, they flew everywhere. They astral projected everywhere. They didn't get no conveyance and go anywhere. You go back to the mind of your ancient foremothers and forefathers, they rode flying carpets. No license needed. They didn't have any ID. They need ID because we're the only ones on the planet. We ran everything. Who's asking us for ID? If we're our ancient foremothers and forefathers, nobody's asking us for ID. We're the ID. The purpose of the Moorish movement, the purpose of claiming that you're a Moor, the purpose of having a nationality is to go back to the state of mind of your ancient foremothers and forefathers and be brought back into the constitutional fold of government, because we've been indigenous, aboriginal, autochthonous, Negro, black, colored continents, and everything else that some Europeans said that we are. And then we get abused, and then we're bitching. Stop bitching. Go proclaim your nationality. Go study. Show yourself approved, and Allah would bless you with tags when time comes. Allah would bless you with ID when time comes. For that time, don't even talk about you want tags and plates, and you want, you know, a Moorish school and all that stuff. Moorish school for what? You're gonna be 5 people in that school because Moors aren't even uplifting fallen humanity. They're playing church with the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is chasing people away. So don't worry about any tags and all that stuff. Don't worry about plates and all that. Don't worry about that. Worry about your mind. Get that right. Worry about these dirty Moors out here who are convincing our people that they're not Moors and sending them to spiritual hell. Because trust me, all these people who don't want to proclaim nationality and all that stuff, trust me, their life sucks. Guaranteed. With Moors, even if our life sucks, at least we know that we're Moors. And that's a beautiful thing. Knowing that you're a Moor is the most amazing thing that could ever happen to your life. You thought that big rock that you got is amazing? That's nothing. Knowing that you have nationality and birthrights is way more important than what you have in your bank account. Now, people want to play dumb out here. We already put it on the record. We're going to put it on the record again, because people want to play dumb and then want to make it look like Moors are dumb. So for all the people out there who are in this illusionary world that because Moor says we're descendants of ancient Canaanites and we're descendants of Moabites and all that stuff, and they want to bring up Ham and Noah and all this BS, let's see what these things mean metaphysically. Since people want to bring up Bibles and stuff from Bibles and try to tie Moors to that, because we already told you people that we're scientists. We're not mere believers. I told you that we're scientists. We're not believers. And people still want to play this game with the dumb people that, well, the Moor, they don't know what they're talking about because they say Ham and they say Cush and they say all this BS. Let's see what stuff really means. Right? Yep. So our first stop is Canaan. Remember, this is the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. This is not the pictorial dictionary like people like to show you. This is not unabridged dictionary like people want to show you. This is not, you know, abridged dictionary. This is not law dictionary. This is metaphysical dictionary. And not only metaphysical dictionary, metaphysical Bible dictionary. Why? Because the Bible is a metaphysical book. It's not a book for you to go pray and for you to think that you got some history because you read the Bible and you saw Noah lived to be 800 years old. So he's an 800-year-old guy. And once we go vegan, we can live to be 800 years old like Noah. FOH. Stop the BS. It's metaphysical. That's why they changed the name from Sun Pages to Holy Bible, to keep your dumb ass thinking that this is about religion. When everything is about metaphysics. Everything is about high science, high culture. Where'd that come from? That come from the Moors. Canaan. Metaphysical definition. Canaan means lowland. That is the body consciousness. The redeemed body is the promised land. And when man rediscovers his lost domain, all promises of the scriptures will be fulfilled. The same thing Noble Drew Ali told these Moors in chapter 1 of the Holy Quran, that man will regain his lost estate. Because that battle, that fight, can't be told in words. That has to be experienced. Man will regain his lost domain when he honors his foremothers and forefathers and stops being things that they're not. Our people love being what they're not, which is why you have so many people out here today that are claiming to be everything under the sun except Moors. And then saying Moors have no connection to everything that they're claiming. But they're claiming everything. But they're not claiming to be Moors. They're only avoiding Moors? You tell me that's not somebody ran some witchcraft on these people? That they're going to call themselves an adjective. But they're not Moors. They're going to call themselves continents. But they're not Moors. They're going to call themselves every single thing that means nothing. But not Moors. That's a serious mental problem they have. If they're going to call themselves everything except Moors, they'll go down the line of things. And then when they don't have an estate, when they don't have a domain, when all they have is, nothing, they're blaming somebody outside themselves. It is not a dream that man is to possess an immortal body. It is a solid fact. In order to redeem the body, man must enter with his spiritual thoughts into his organism and teach it the saving truth. This is the symbolic teaching of Joshua 1. We also think of Canaan, lowland, as referring to the subconsciousness. Metaphysically, it represents humbleness and receptivity. The land of Canaan, too, represents the unlimited elemental forces of being in which man is placed and to which he gives character through faith in God as omnipresent spirit. To mystics, it is the name of the invisible substance that surrounds and interpenetrates all forms of which it is the mother. Canaan, the son of Ham, refers to the fleshly organism and tendencies of man. It refers to the physical and not to the spiritual. That's Canaan. That's Canaan. Canaan's nothing else. Anybody telling you Canaan's anything else, they're trying to play you. They're trying to get you to not accept the fact that you are a living entity. And they want your soul, they want your spirit to be able to get attached to by all types of different thought forms and whatever like that are out here to have you go nuts. That you wake up one day and you realize that, everything's messed up. Because you were not moored. You're floating around. You're a boy just floating. You must be moored. If you're not moored, trust me, you're going to have problems. Islam, Moors.
Islam. No, I just wanted to, I didn't know if you wanted to read the thing I had text you about the word Canaan.
Oh,
because they,
you have it there?
Yeah,
I think I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, you go ahead while I look for that.
Okay. Because you know, they make it seem as if the word Canaan too is the word is applied to over there. You know, when they speak of Canaan, like the word came from people over there. They like to say like Sumer or something like that. When clearly, once you do some research, you'll see. They got a book. Did you see it, Green Sheet?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, slave species of the gods, the serpent, the secret history of the Anunnaki. Michael Tellinger. Later, when Enki and his first team of exploring astronauts landed to join him, he showed them the serpents. It makes good sense that they would have used this creature as some kind of symbol on their new planet, since it was the first creature they saw. The Mayan word for serpent is Can, C-A-N, which is parallel to the Hebrew word Canaan. And that is why the god from Canaan got the title Serpent.
Again, okay, what does that have to do with over there? It just told you that the word Can is a Mayan word. And that's how the Canaanites, the word Canaan, they got the word Canaan for the god, which is serpent. Came from the Mayan, which is over here. And we know that the word Mayans is a misnomer. They didn't call themselves Mayans. They were Moors. So back to that again, that's Canaanite. Canaan over here. Mayans saying it. As soon as I was listening to this guy the other day, we're doing class, he keeps saying Canaan over there. Sumer. Oh, so you're saying you're from Sumer? No. You guys don't study at all. At all. Clear as day. In the book, right there. She just read it. Canaan is a derivative from the Mayan word. And then that's why when you get the book, The Ancient Mysteries of Mexico, the Ancient Pyramid Mysteries of Mexico, from Peter H. Tompkins, he explains, he goes more in depth about that, about the Mayans, the so-called Mayans using the word Canaan or can for serpent. That's another author who's back in the book that he just read this now. The Grand Street just read this now. This isn't something, and that's the other thing. Like, I don't know what they're doing. You know, like the so-called Indians and stuff like that, indigenous people. The way they make it seem as if, you know, like, because us over here did it first. You know, y'all over there. You know, that's over there. So I'm like, see, that's Eurocentric thinking. You're that's the divide and conquer. We didn't look at each other like that. Oh, you're from over there. That side of when the whole world was together. I mean, all the continents was together. You know, and we read that, prove that. We know that we was here on the planet when the continents was together. So even when they try to play that game, it was already together. It's just because it almost confused me when I went to go study. I'm like, well, they're all the same people, because when you look at the Egyptian alphabet, when you look at the Canaanite alphabet, when you look at the so-called Mayan alphabet, it's all the same. It's the same alphabet.
Let me just. Somebody had a question in the chat, and then if you could repeat where Canaan came from again. So the question was, are the Canaanites descended from Cain?
See, that's the thing. You just read the metaphysical definition. You just said as soon as they try to put you back into the Bible, that's like not where you're coming from. You say, okay, and then if you want to do that, the descendants of Cain, well, in the same book, The Ancient Mystery Pyramids of Mexico by Peter H. Tompkins, he speaks of the Cain, that story being over here with Botan, Botan. That's Botan over here. That same story is over here with descendants of Cain. That's Botan over here, who was in who was in who said that he came from Atlantis and he told the story over here and made it here. He made a city called what is it? Teotihuacan.
Yeah, that one. With the serpent, when the solstice happens and the serpent climbs up the pyramid.
Yep. And it has the word "can" in it, which is Canaan.
Yep. Right, but let's go Metaphysical Bible Dictionary again. Canaanite. Metaphysical definition of Canaanite. The elemental life forces in subconsciousness. Under sense, thought, and expression, they are all that the meaning of Canaanite implies. The Canaanites are delivered by Jehovah into the hands of the Israelites, and by them are destroyed. And the name of the place was Hormah. Hormah, from the same root, is Haram, a devoted thing. The significance of this is that through our I Am, Jehovah, we gain control of our subconscious elemental life forces. Then by means of high spiritual thinking, Israelites, these life forces come under the law of spirit and are transmuted into spiritual energy. Nothing to do with some people, nothing to do with some Bible, nothing to do with any of that. And you could also do your research on this place called Canada, which is a corpse, and the origin of that place being Canandaigua, and Canandaigua coming from Kent, Khent, which is also Canaan. Just do your research on Canaan, Kent, Canandaigua. Stuff is going to come up. But these people like to play their little games and try to keep you stuck. Well, let's go to the PhD, Jose Pimenta Bay. Let's go to the PhD.
King's in the Metaphysical Bible too. If they want to look it up.
Yep.
It's these people who don't even know that none of this is allegory speaking. Like, I don't see how they don't know that yet. These people are all adults playing dogma games. I don't get that.
Chapter 2.
All that stuff, all these people. I'm sorry, Grant.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's just frustrating though. You got all these, even Europeans, putting out all these videos about the Catholic Church, lying and messing up so-called religion and putting it to where they want to put it, and these people are accepting it. You got William Cooper, Jordan Maxwell, plenty of people, what's his name? Dr. Ben told him. Dr. Ben, who's a Jew, told him. Nobody told y'all there was a God. God didn't come down here and told you I'm God. Y'all made that up. Like, and he's a Jew. This Dr. Ben, like going in on that. Like I'm like, Dr. Ben made videos. You got who else? The master teacher. So many of them. Whose father was Moorish scientist.
Delbert Blair. Blair.
Dr. Blair. He's telling you all that. Everybody telling you that so-called religion stuff, dogma, bunch of crap. It's you dumb niggers that's still accepting that BS.
Yep.
These Europeans is doing all their Wicca. They doing all the Moorish sciences. All the Moorish sciences. Y'all still stuck in this dogma and try to. And then I was telling Green Sheik earlier, we say it all the time. We talk about nationality, the order of the day. Nationality, first thing they talk about is the Bible. What are y'all talking about? That's the same thing what I said with the lady in down south.
Yep.
And she was like, "Oh, what's that thing? I'm a Moor. What's your nationality?" "Oh no, I'm a Christian, baby." That's the same thing they say. when we bring up nationality and we start talking about us as Canaanites, Moabite bloodline, first thing they want to do, bring up the Bible.
Religion.
Like, we're not talking about that.
Nothing to do with that.
We're not talking about at all.
And then that lets you know where these people's mind is at. Because if you giving them historical facts and they're going to religion, if you're giving them metaphysics, they're going to religion. If you're giving them law and they're going to religion and that's their only reference point, and these people are supposed to claim that they know their self and they have a history and all that stuff, they're playing. They're not serious. They're definitely not serious. They're straight playing. Chapter 2, the Moorish background, ethnic origins, and an overview of their historical impact. And keep in mind, we keep showing you references. These people never showed you one book yet. All they keep doing is going on goddamn Google and screen sharing. Show me a book that you read. Don't show me some screen share or whatever. Pull up a book out your library that you got and show me that you know what you're talking about. Don't be screen sharing some stuff that you could use keywords and pull up the exact thing that you want. Because we don't play those ones. We play go study. Chapter 2, Jose Pimenta Bay, Othello's Children in the New World. The Moorish were the ancient Moabites. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old Man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. The Moabites received permission from the pharaohs with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. What is the modern name for Moabites? Moroccans. Quran question number 31. What is the shade of their skin? Olive. Are the Moorish Americans any relation? Yes, we have the same father and mother. Quran question 61 to 63. The above quotes are all from official Moorish Science Temple of America literature. It indicates the origins and links which the organization's founder, Prophet Drew Ali, attributed to the Moors. Although it shows that for Moorish scientists, Moors were understood to have genealogical links to ancient peoples outside of Africa. It was also understood that such peoples were still phenotypically Africoid. Yet many Eurocentric Western scholarly treatments have attempted to de-Africanize the Moors and de-emphasize their connections to Africa. But after a critical interdisciplinary evaluation of the Moorish identity, it is evident that the term Moor justifiably designates a phenotypically Africoid people or person with ancient links to both Eastern Africa and Near Asia. Like a voice in the wilderness, the Moorish Science Temple was contending such truth in the early 1910s and 1920s within the African American communities. Admittedly, such ancient Asian links to Moorish ancestry and the historic mobility of East African peoples has contributed to existing arguments which have sought to deny the Africanity of those known to history as Moors. Upon reviewing the history of the Near Asian lands, one finds that such places as Canaan and Moab were once extensions of what we now call the African continent. In fact, many historical, theological, and linguistic studies show ethnic connections between Moors and the ancient peoples of Canaan, Moab, Cush, Judea, and Kemet. This agrees with MST official contentions. Consequently, the term Moor actually proves to be a term that is ethnologically reflects the ancient and significant links between Africa and Asia. The American Heritage Dictionary defines Moor as one of the Muslim people of mixed Berber and Arab descent now living chiefly in northern Africa. 2, one of the Saracens who invaded Spain in the 8th century AD. Middle English Moor, from Old French, from Latin Morus, from Greek moros, probably of North African origin. The Thorndike-Bernhardt Immediate Dictionary also defined Moor as a Muslim people of mixed Arab and Berber ancestry living in northwestern Africa. As this chapter proceeds, we will recognize that Berber is commonly used as a synonym for Moor. From these dictionary definitions, we see that Moor is not wholly synonymous with Arab, yet Moor is identified with the Asian homeland of the Arab. Western scholars had often sought to deny the Moors the uniqueness of their heritage by making Moor appear to be fully synonymous with Arab. But any evidence of quote-unquote racial connections, historic contract between the two peoples, and their shared Islamic practices should not forfeit the Moors' own individual and national identity. After all, Persian Muslims, i.e. Iranians, Turkish Muslims, and Indian Muslims share similar legacies with the Arab Muslims, yet each has been historically recognized by their respective national names. But Western scholars have frequently and inappropriately used the term Arab or Berber instead of Moor when describing African Muslims. In his text on Moroccan history and society, Western Window in the Arab World, Leon Blair says of Morocco, the Arabic influence is cultural, not racial. Although most Moroccan Muslims accept classification as Arabs, Blair evidently recognizes that the vast majority of Moroccans descend primarily from what he calls Berbers, the more indigenous African residents. Yet Blair offers little resistance to the improper utilization of the term Arab for a people who he knows are primarily African, Moor. This is particularly apparent from his title, Western Window in the Arab World. Blair could have easily substituted Islamic or even Arabic for Arab, but instead, Blair's awareness of the historical intimacy of African and Arab results in statements like, ethnically, it is as difficult to separate the Arab from the other ethnic sources as to separate pink from the violet in the rainbow. In a number of Western histories, the Moors of medieval Al-Andalus are often associated with the Berber peoples of contemporary North Africa, Maghreb. Several Western academics point out how the phenotype of the modern-day Berber often bears a great resemblance to the typical European. Not surprisingly, fair skin, straight or slightly curled hair, and aquiline noses are commonly presented as the predominant standard for the Berber. In the interest of Eurocentricism's pigmentocratic status quo, such Berbers are often regarded as the solitary and unchanged descendants of the illustrious Moors of the Middle Ages. Sadly, the groundbreaking work of N. Brent Kennedy on the Melungeons of Appalachia is duly affected by this misrepresentation. Kennedy discusses the Moorish presence in the colonial Americas and the early US, but when speaking of the Muslim invasion into Iberia in 711, Kennedy too is quick to emphasize the Europeanness of the Berber populaces of North and Northwest Africa. So, as far as the scholar, who again is PhD, qualified, no different than Dr. Ben is qualified because he went to university, got his doctorate in Moorish history. It's evident that Moors are a global people. It's evident that people have taken the position of trying to get the Moors out of certain parts of history. It's absolutely obvious. Now, we know that they did this with ancient Egypt, which is North Africa. We know that they did this in the quote-unquote Moroccan Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how the British Empire came into the existence, because they camelbacked off the Moroccan Empire, because you already know there's no little island in Europe called Britain that's an empire. Stop the BS. The same way that the Ottomans jacked the Moroccan Empire. The same way that majority of places that call themselves empire, when you go check on a map, you'll see that there's no way that these places are empire. It's absolutely preposterous for these places to claim that they're an empire. One, they don't have enough landmass to be an empire. Two, none of them have an emperor. All of them have kings and queens, which means that they're kingdoms, not empires. If even they're kingdoms, that's even up for debate. Islam,
right. Islam. I just want to add on too. I was reading the dictionary a couple of days ago, and just to add on, because you said empire, right? Tied them, because a lot of Britain, that's not an empire. England is not an empire. None of those places are empire. Now, I want to connect something too to show you that even to be, make sure. All right. Even to be part of an empire, by definition, it goes back to status. Goes right back to status, and that's how I know that England, Britain, and none of that stuff can be an empire. Now look, just the definition of Moroccan in the Webster New International Dictionary and 7-language dictionary. The definition of Moroccan is Morocco, and we know the brackets is the etymology. It says usually capital Morocco, Sultanate in Northwest Africa, and it ends the brackets. So a Moroccan, by definition, is a sultanate or a sultan or a sultaness or whatever from Northwest Africa. And we know that when we connect, ancient times, Northwest Africa and here used to connect. By definition, a Moroccan is a sultan in the dictionary. That's what in the Webster dictionary of 7 languages, a Moroccan is a sultan. So only way you can have an empire is if you're a Moroccan. And according to the dictionary, because you have to be a sultan or a sultaness. You must be Moroccan. Because that's the word to be in a sultan or a sultaness. It would just be called a Moroccan or a Moor. By definition in dictionary, I was just bugged out when I read it. I was like, the definition of Moroccan is a sultan. It doesn't even mean, oh, you're from over here, you're native to this land. It doesn't even mean that. In the dictionary, it means sultan. That's what a Moroccan means in the dictionary. I can send the Grand Sheik the picture so he can. I sent out the picture. I put it in the group thing, the group text. Sent everybody the picture. Everybody can see it. A Moroccan is a sultan.
Right. No, and keep in mind as well that dumbasses are always gonna say we're not Moroccan and talk about 1956. That's why we're not Moroccan, because we predate Morocco. Right. Well, dumbass, when the treaty was made with Morocco, if Morocco started in 1956, what Morocco were they talking about in the 1700s that did the treaty? Right. If they're not talking about the 1956 Morocco, since that started in 1956, then why would the treaty hundreds of years ago say Morocco? Obviously, they were talking about a bigger or a greater Morocco than the little kingdom that people like to relate to Morocco today. And remember, it's
And the dictionary
Moors.
backs you.
And remember, it's Moors that's going to be telling you that we're not Moroccan. Even though Noble Drew Ali said we're descendants of Moroccans born in America. If we're descendants of Moroccans, that means we're Moroccan. The hell are you talking about? How are we descendants of Moroccans, but we're not Moroccan? We're Moors. Are you a dumbass?
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of crack are you smoking? Oh yeah, speaking about crack, I want to say peace and love and big shout out to the good brother Larry Davis, who today, the 19th of November, had his run-in with the highwaymen. We just uploaded the little documentary. It's only an hour. If you got some time, you never heard of Larry Davis before, make sure you go watch the Larry Davis documentary. So you can see, how these people got down when we were going to expose them for being criminals that they are. See how they attack you when you start exposing them for being criminals. That's why we're doing today in honor of Larry Davis, because we're exposing all these criminals that call themselves people who know themselves, and they're lying to you that they're Moors. We're doing that just like how he did the police, exposing them for being a fraud, claiming that they're serve and protect when they're actually there bringing crack in the community and all that stuff. The same way, we're exposing these people today for being a fraud, because they're no different than these dirty highwaymen. They're exactly the same. The only difference is that the crack that they're pushing is knowledge. The crack that they're pushing is knowledge, which you don't need any of that in your mind. Just like you don't need the crack in your body. And Noble Drew Ali told us that our flag is 50,000 years old, and it's a red flag with a green 5-point star, which you see the people over there that 56 or whatever say that is the Moroccan flag. So if Noble Drew Ali was saying we're the descendants of Moroccan and gave us a flag with a green 5-point star and a red background, and everybody know that that's the flag of Morocco, how is it that these Moors are going to have flags behind them? These Moors are going to have pendants and t-shirts and whatever with a Moroccan flag on it, but they're not Moroccan, they're just Moors. Dumbasses. Dumbasses. Again, the PhD, Jose Pimenta Bay, page 42. Significantly, by 1844 to 1845, Dutch dictionaries were reversing Moor for North Africans only. Perhaps one of the most profound revelations regarding American history is that both Moor and Black have been used by European writers as descriptives for American Indians. The London Gazette of 1688,
say that again.
Perhaps one of the most profound revelations regarding American history is that both Moor and Black had been used by European writers as descriptives for American Indians.
Now, why could that be? Why would they use Moor to describe the Indians here? Because they're the Moors. Indian is a misnomer. It's a substitute. And that just made perfect sense. I said, okay, that just makes correlative to the other book that we read. That Indian was a substitute for the word Moor in 1621. I'm glad you read that part. I'm glad you read that part.
It is both interesting and highly significant that the two peoples could be so easily confused. These popular pageant presentations of Caribbean Indians in African attire, Moorish, and vice versa, appear as additional evidence of an African Moorish presence in pre-Columbian America. Jack Forbes writes, of considerable significance has been the documentation that Americans were often called Negroes, Blacks, Negroes, and Morin in various languages. There is no doubt that the terms and variations of Moor and Morin were primarily recognized as phenotypically relative to the so-called Negroid features and peoples. Yet Moor and Morin were used to refer to America's Indians. In accounts found in Antwerp and Brazil from the 1550s until the 1640s, these American-based Moors or Morin were described by contemporaries as differing from brown to dark brown. Significantly, Forbes reports that the Portuguese attempted to replace the word for enslaved persons, servi, with Saraceni, and later Moro, but it didn't work. I submit that the African-centered nomenclature of Moor, Moro, Moro, and Moor, M-O-H-R, was evidently too heavily laden with the historic legacy of human achievement and cultural value to become so easily synonymous with servitude. In view of all the historical, theological, and etymological evidence presented, it should be clear that the term Moor justifiably designates a phenotypically Africoid people with ancient origins in both Africa and near Asia. Historical records reveal the strong ethnic ties between the Moors and the ancient peoples of Canaan, Moab, Phoenicia, Chaldea, Cush, and Kemet. Moorish peoples are found residing in various parts of the world and not simply in northwestern corner of the African continent or the Iberian Peninsula. In the centuries before Christ, the ancestors of the Moors, Cushites, Moabites, Canaanites, etc., migrated westward and settled in various parts of Western and Northern Africa. But in more recent times, Morocco would be increasingly regarded as, quote unquote, the only home for the Moors. But this consideration is largely related to predominance of historical ignorance, as well as some Eurocentric manipulations of the historical record. So anytime you hear people tell you that Moroccans are only in North Africa, know that that is predominance of historical ignorance and Eurocentric manipulations. Because Moroccans were all over the world.
Here we go.
Why? Because Morocco was an empire, and empires span the globe. Empires aren't limited to one continent. Islam, Moor.
No. And that's a reference for them too, because they always want to know, well, where's the reference that the Moors are not just in Northwest Africa? There you go. Right there. And then not only is that paradigm false, when you use it, it's a Eurocentric thinking, Eurocentric agenda. That's their process. That's Roman. As soon as you say, oh, Moors are from Northwest Africa, and that only, in that modern sense of thinking, once you push that, you already know who they're working for, what side they on. You're pushing the modern Europeans' agenda. You're pushing the Roman agenda. Because the reference just clearly stated, as soon as you push that Moors are only from Northwest Africa, that's a Eurocentric process. That's not what it is, because like the Grand Chief said, Moors are from an empire. That's global. And that's why I mentioned a couple of days ago. Again, another thing to back that, Sir Francis Drake, one of the top three, he was the top one. He was the third English navigator to circumnavigate the globe. He got a license from the Emperor of Morocco to be able to circumnavigate the globe. English navigator, Sir Francis Drake, got a license from the Moroccan emperor.
And don't let these Moors either. Don't let these people who call themselves Moors fool you. And then you see them on the Aboriginal indigenous platforms or whatever, and they're just on there with the Indians as if Moors are Indians. And when these people start talking crazy about we're not Moors, they're not saying anything. They're just on there to get their little shine, feel like they could be somebody. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you when you see them on some other stuff and they're, rubbing elbows with the indigenous people talking about unity, and then they're Moors, but when they come in the Moorish chat, they're talking about Moors are immigrants and people are immigrants and migrants and people come from Africa and all that BS.
Right. Now that's
disrespectful.
That's disrespectful when they say that. That's clearly disrespectful. That's like, they make it seem as if Moors are out of line. Once they start attacking our birthright, saying that we're foreigners and all of that stuff, that's very disrespectful. That's like highly everything. Like, that's very rude. That's not funny to be calling us, because I sit there, I'm looking at little Yusuf, and I'm like, dang, man, like, I wouldn't lie to my son. You know what I mean? Like, why would I teach my son that we're some Indian crap, black crap? Like, I wouldn't lie to him if I knew the truth. And then I sit there and I'm like, there's people that's really doing this, like, just lying to their children. Like, just because they want their gain or their finance, or the like you just mentioned, the Moor who's on the Indian platforms. He's doing that for the shine, for the look at me moments, the subscribe to my channel. He's not doing this like, I do this because, I don't want my son to do, I don't want none of the little ones and nothing like that to go through what we're going through and stuff like that. These people doing this because they want people to look at them and give them views.
Right.
They wonder why I don't do nothing. Like, I don't want to be here because there's so many dirty things going on, and I'm like, okay, we don't know where he's coming at, I don't know if he's gonna, go at it hard enough as I'm gonna go at it, because like I love my son. I always look at it like I'm doing this for my son. You're doing this for my son. So we go the extra mile, because you're doing it for your son. And then to see like people going against that, like I just feel like a slap in my face, because it's like, yo, come on, man. I would never lie to my child. So you making it seem as if I'm lying to my son. Like, I'm not lying to my son. I know we're Moors.
Straight.
We're not Indian. We're not Los Indios.
Straight up.
We're not black. We're not none of that. We're not none of that. I can go look at the proof, the facts. We see it was carved in ancient hieroglyphics. Like, come on, man. Like, all the evidence they want, we give it to them. We give it to them. All the evidence they want, we give it to them. And they still, and like you said, PhD, Jose Pineda Bay. I mentioned Dr. Ben earlier, another PhD. Like, we give them all these references, and like you said earlier, again, these people don't never have no references. No dictionaries, nothing. Nothing. Only time they want to use the etymology dictionary is when they want to look up the word Moor. And I collect dictionaries. I got a dictionary. I got a definition of the word Moor. It mentions Moors here. It talks about the Moors being here. The Delaware Moors. In the definition of Moor, it speaks of the Moors here. And in the dictionary, I sent the picture to the Grand Street because he can share it. in the definition of the word Moor, it says it's of Berber origin. It doesn't even say it's Greek. It doesn't even mention the word Greek in the definition. It says of Berber origin. And if you translate Berber on Google Translation, it's an Arabic word back to Moor. So the word Moor in a dictionary is of Berber origin. So the word Moor is really of Moorish origin. Right in the dictionary. Right in the dictionary. That's not a debating. That's not, oh, Brother Yusuf said, it's in the dictionary. I wasn't even born when the dictionary was written. It was published in 1896.
Real simple.
They're debating. They're debating themselves. It's not a debate. I'm reading the reference book, the dictionary. I'm like, it's in the dictionary. I'm not tripping. A Moroccan is a sultan. And then outside of the brackets, outside of the etymology of the brackets of Moroccan, it says all this native crap. You know, the native to Moroccans in the Moroccan kingdom and all of that stuff. But I said, right in the brackets, the etymology of it says a sultan. I was like, that's mind-boggling. Like, that changes everything right there. Changes everything. That doesn't put people, you know, in a box.
It does put people in a box. It's a big ass box. Not some
calling Moors. And I'm like, the prophet said we're descendants of that. And I'm like, yo, we're sultans by definition. By definition, not what I believe, not, oh, that's your doctrine. Nah, it's in the dictionary. It's not hard. It's not all this cult. You changed, you joined some cult, you converted, all of this lies that they just say. I'm like, brother, that's y'all saying that. I looked the word in the dictionary. Oh yeah, real quick, Rashid, and I'll yield the floor.
Oh, you good, Mo? We got time. You straight. That's why we started early today, so we can get everything out there.
The other thing, to correcting our titles, they say the guy on there talking about you converted because you corrected your title.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. And then you gave the perfect example with the Muhammad Ali. And you know, once you watch his interview, he tells you why he corrected his title.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and then the guys in the interview asking him, "But did you go down to the court?" Well, I think it was Malcolm X. Malcolm X did the same thing. El Hodge told him, "Did I have?" Well, because they asked him, "Did you go to court to change your name?" He said, "Did the court did I have to go to court to get my name changed?" Like, basically, did the court go to court to change our names?
Yeah.
You know, like how did they change our names?
Not a chance.
This guy says you converted once you change your name. Like, he's that messed up in his brain to not know where these people got their names from? Where these last names were coming from? None of these last names we so-called got now are Aboriginal, Indigenous. They're not African. They're not so-called African. They're not Kenyan, Ghanalese, none of that. Brown is an English name. That's not indigenous.
Right, and once again, because again, people like to talk BS without having the Metaphysical Bible dictionary. Jacob, for all the chat people who still don't get it and still getting into this thing about people or whatever. Metaphysical definition. Jacob and Esau represent the mental and the animal consciousness within each of us. Jacob and Esau represent the mental and animal consciousness within each of us. Esau, the hairy man, typifies the animal, which comes first into expression. Most of the human family let him rule in consciousness. But in the line of human unfoldment, this man of nature, Esau, must be supplanted by a higher type called Jacob, the supplanter, the mentality or understanding. Right? So again, put this into perspective that many people are Esau-minded. They haven't evolved yet. They're still the beasts. We're not even talking about chakras right now. We're not even talking lower self right now. We're talking pre-lower self. We're talking lower mind. We're not even talking, because people could be in their higher spiritual self, but have a lower mind. Don't think because somebody's doing meditation or whatever that they're their higher self. Because lower-minded people, Esau-minded people, still have the animal in them. The animal in them is that doesn't deal with instinct. The animal in them is who doesn't think. The animal in them is the one that just has them talking incompetent for no damn reason. That's why Noble Jwali told these Moors, you know, a duck's bill gets him in trouble before anything else. These people's red flannel in their mouth gets them in trouble before anything else gets them in trouble. Because people like to talk without thinking. And then they sound incompetent. And then when you call them out on their incompetence, then they want to go to YouTube and complain that you're using their videos and stuff like that and try to get your page shut down. Jacob also represents an idea of the I am identity through which the faculties of the mind receive their original inspiration. Jacob had 12 sons, to each of whom he gave an office, and each of whom he blessed or inspired with his spiritual wisdom. The 12 sons of Jacob, are the 12 by 12 cranial nerves around the pineal gland. In order for you to activate, you need to be out of the Esau mind. If you're not out of the Esau mind, then you're probably going to be talking crazy that you're not Moors, and Moor means black, and you know Morocco is only over there in North Africa. All that is Esau-minded thinking. Moors are not indigenous to the Americas. They came from Africa only. That's Esau-minded thinking. As soon as people start talking like that, automatically, oh yeah, Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. Those people are Esau-minded. The Bible narrative about Jacob and Esau has always been read historically, and theologians have had trouble trying to excuse Jacob and Rebekah for the apparent duplicity that they perpetrated upon Esau. When read in the light of spiritual understanding, or considered as part of the history of the unfoldment of the individual soul, the incident loses its aspects of duplicity, and we find that it is a description of the subtle working of the soul in spiritual evolution under the guidance of the divine mind. The soul is progressive. We must go forward. The soul must meet and overcome its limitations. Esau was a hunter. Now again, this is to prove the Esau-mindedness of these people who are saying that they're not Moors, right? Esau was a hunter. He finds his pleasure in the realm of animal forces. The cravings of the lower nature are in ascendancy. Esau gave his birthright to appease his hunger. What do Moors call our nationality and birthrights? Birthrights. What are these people doing? Saying they're not Moors. What are they doing? Giving up their birthright. What does that mean? They're Esau-minded.
Yep.
because this is all about Moorish science. This is all about higher states of existence. As soon as they're talking about a bowl of red porridge,
Yep. That's the materialistic stuff right there. That's the following the European and God right there, the red porch.
giving up their birthright. And then they got some nerve to talk about Moors and Canaanites and all this type of stuff when they're Esau minded, because they don't want their birthright. They absolutely, positively don't want it.
Because then when you ask them what's their nationality, they give you answers that disqualify them. They give you, I'm American, disqualified. I'm Israelite, disqualified. Like, what do you mean? None of those are nationality. None of those are.
And don't listen to people either who talk about you're born with a nationality. Because if you're born with a nationality, you wouldn't have claimed that you're a Moor when you're 30, 40. You would have been born that. If you were born with a nationality, you wouldn't have had no dumbass pictures with you not wearing your national headdress. If you were born with a nationality, your mom wouldn't have named you John and Johnson and Jeremiah and all that BS, Bible names, if you had a nationality. We lost our nationality. We fell from grace because we didn't honor our foremothers and forefathers. We fell from grace. That's why a prophet had to come. If we were born with a nationality, we wouldn't need a prophet. When you look at the map over there across the Atlantic Ocean, you look at a map and you consider our founders and forefathers and all that stuff were from Kemet and ancient Egypt and all of that. The one thing that sticks out to you is the Nile River. But when you look over here, it's the same thing. Nile River, called Mississippi. Noble Drew Ali told the Moors we were living up and down the Mississippi. Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, Moors, you're home. The European is 3,000 miles away from home. If Noble Drew Ali is telling you that you're home in his literature, wouldn't that mean he's telling you that you're Aboriginal and Indigenous? If this is your home over here, wouldn't that mean that Moors are Aboriginal and Indigenous to this side of the land? Why are people playing like we're not? Another reference point, again, because people don't like to read, but we'll put some stuff out there so you can have some information. Because this is stuff the Aboriginal and Indigenous people are never going to tell you. And don't forget, you 23 people out there who sneak studying, make sure you thumbs up. Don't be over here in our chat and talking crazy and not at least thumbs up because you're here. So you might as well thumbs up or thumbs down or something. Don't be sitting in the back sneak studying. 107 amazing facts about the indigenous Moorish Americans. 21. Most so-called Black Americans or so-called African Americans find it difficult to accept themselves as indigenous Moors to the Western Hemisphere because of the programmed, fabricated images of Moorish people. Fake images of their own indigenous Moorish ancestors have been routinely drilled into their psyche since birth. The Moorish image does not register within their psyche because of the fake image programming that the US has instilled in their minds of how Moors look. The spirit of so-called Black Americans or so-called African Americans tells them one thing, while the programmed fake images of their own ancestors say another. This all leads to an inner conflict. We have to be open to recognizing the fact that truth and falsehood has been strangely mixed. And by us adopting truth and falsehood mixed paradigms is why we're in the situation that we're at, that we don't know what the hell's going on. And we can't sort anything out. And we're never going to sort anything out because nobody wants to go back to the program that Noble Juali laid down. Go read your Quran, go read your 101 questionnaires, go read your divine constitution and bylaws, prove yourself to be a Moorish leader so that we can start doing things in the right direction, because that's why those things were there, to get our mind right. When we don't want to get our mind right, we want to go on YouTube and profess things that we have no professional attitude about. We're Aboriginal and Indigenous, but we got state license. We're Aboriginal and Indigenous, but our grandma's death certificate says it comes from the United States of Bureau of Indian Affairs. And we lived on a reservation. And we have casinos, and indigenous people have casinos, and that's going to bring in finance for our indigenous nation. The hell are these people talking about? That's lies. That's not reality. And that's all that's out there right now. Lies and propaganda. Again, to get the people away from their nationality and birthrights. Because we keep telling anybody who has an issue with Moors, we're not telling you give up what it is that you're doing. You want to be Pan-African? Cool. Put Moorish on it. You want to be Hebrew Israelite? No problem. Put Moorish on it. You want to be Aboriginal Indigenous? Yeah, go right ahead. Just put Moorish on it so we can show some unity. Well, I don't want to be Moors because, oh, Esau-minded. Don't even waste your time. Let them go be Esau's. Just let them go be Esau. Don't even waste your time. But you got to look out for our people, because our people are in a bad situation. Like Brother Yusuf said, we're adults around here. Like, we're adults. Complaining is for children. When adults start complaining, know that they're Esau-minded. Automatically know that they're Esau-minded. This stuff is not even debatable, but people want to debate. 23. Moors, or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, built pyramids and pyramid mounds just like the ancient Egyptians. This synonymous comparison of both cultures from opposite sides of the world is because they both are genetically linked. They both are genetically linked. They both are genetically linked. If they're both genetically linked, that means they're both historically linked. If they're both historically linked, that means they're both geographically linked. If they're both geographically linked, that's why Moors say over here is also Africa. And North America is North Africa. And Morocco is in North Africa, which is over here and over there. Because the Atlantic River is a cosmic mirror reflecting both sides of the world, the West and the East. There's nothing separating the North and the South. It's North and South on both sides. The West and the East are separated by Atlantic Ocean, which is a cosmic mirror. That's a documented fact to people who are scholars. It's only idiots who don't study that have this disconnect of not knowing where they are. Thinking that when we say Moors, we're only talking about some North African people. How? If there's Egypt over here, and it's a fact that over here is Egypt of the West, it's a fact. Nobody's confused about that. Everybody knows, oh, America, oh, yeah, that's Egypt of the West. So if Egypt of the West over here, and then Moab's in Utah, and Memphis is over here, and things from over here, obviously they're relative. Obviously they're relative. If over here is the land of milk and honey, and people from over there keep coming over here, but then people from over here don't go over there. They only go over there on vacation, but people over there come over here to live. Obviously, these people over there know something about over here that dummies here don't know, because they keep wanting to go over there. But they never go over there and stay. They always go over there and come back here because they only go there on vacation. If the people from over here are so from over there, why don't they go over there and stay over there? If the people from over here got stolen from over there, how come the people from over there never send some boats or some planes or whatever like that to take these people back to where they come from? Because anybody who's from over there would tell you, hey, you're not African, you're American. Your ancestors are African, but you're American. And don't even let them play any BS with you about Americans and nationality when those people over there say that you're American. They mean that you're from over this side, the Americas. They're not saying that America is your nationality. Just like when you go over there, don't dare call out anybody over there African, because they will stab you with their spear for disrespecting their birthright, calling them some fiction. Islam, more.
I just wanted, because you mentioned, basically about Africa over there, so-called Africa over there and over here, connecting that one time, and they do bypass that. But in the book Basin and Range by John McPhee, right, on page 42, he's talking about his travels. It says, I was in a bar once in Austin, Nevada, Defy said, and there was a sudden torrential downpour. The bartender began nailing plywood over the door. I wondered why he was doing that until boulders came tumbling down the main street of the town. When you start pulling the continent apart, you have a lot of consequences of the same event. Faulting produced this basin. Sediments filled it in. Pull things apart and you produce a surface vacancy, which is faulting, and a subsurface vacancy, which causes upwelling of hot mantle that intrudes at seals or comes out as lava flows. In the old geology, you might have seen a seal, S-I-L-L, within the country rock and said, this seal came much later. With the new geology, you see that all this was happening more or less at one time. The continent was splitting apart, and the ultimate event was the opening of the Atlantic. If you look at the fold belt in Northwest Africa, you see the other side of the New Jersey story. The folding there is of the same age as the Appalachians, and the subsequent faulting is Triassic. Put the two continents together on the map, and you will see what I mean. Fault blocks like this one are still in evidence, but discontinuously from the Connecticut Valley to South Carolina. They are all parts of the soup that open the Atlantic Seaway. The story is very similar in the Great Basin in the west, in the basin in the range. The earth is splitting apart there, quite possibly opening a seaway. It is not something that happened a couple of 100 million years ago. It only began in the Miocene, and it is today. It is going on today. What we are looking at here in New Jersey is not just some little geologic feature like the zeolite crystal. This is the opening of the Atlantic. If you want to see it happening right now, what happened 200 million years ago, you can see it all in Nevada. Again, so right there, if you look at the fold belt in Northwest Africa, you see the other side of New Jersey. Why if you look at the other side of North Africa, Northwest Africa, North Africa, where they say the Moors are from, that's the other side of New Jersey. In the book, Basin in the Range, it says it's the same age as the Appalachian Mountains. Same age. Same age. So the mountains over there in Morocco and the Appalachian Mountains here used to all connect. They're the same age as the same mountains. Moors was here. We was here at the same time. Right in the book. The Northwest, and what bugs me out is old Canaanite temple started in Newark, New Jersey.
New Jersey. Yep.
As soon as I read that, I say, yo, the prophet, man. Like, I know you the man, but dang, bro, you ain't got to do all of that.
Yeah. Put it all together. Put it all together.
New Jersey, and he called it what? Old Canaanite temple. Canaan. Northwest Africa. The book, Basin in the Range, telling you. And during the Triassic period. During the Triassic period. The Appalachian Mountains still connects to the mountains in Morocco. There's articles on that. And then, and another thing, there was a thing that one of them had said in the thing too about they don't think that we called ourselves Moors. They looked at it like Moor is a descriptive word that Europeans called us. I just want to know if you got anything to add on for that.
But if, like we were talking about earlier, that you know, Moors take a position of always using a reference point to prove our point. We don't talk from emotion, right? We don't guesstimate. We tell you what it is, right? Everybody and their dog knows that Dr. Ben is a scholar.
Right.
Everybody and their best friend knows that Dr. Ben is considered one of the elite. He's considered one of the top teachers of everybody who these people consider a teacher today, 2019. Right? Mad people were under Dr. Ben's tutelage that we're seeing today claiming that they're scholars or whatever like that. But nah, they study from Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben went to Spain to go study. Moors ruled there. So don't think he went to some Spaniards to go learn. He went to go learn the history of the Moors. Why? Because he was a Jew. He was Yehudi. He knows his ancestry ruled there with the Moors. He knows that. He knows when they kicked the Moors out of Spain, they kicked the Jews out too. So it only makes sense that if he's a Jew, that why would he stick himself only to Ethiopia only? Why not go across North Africa where the Moors and the Jews ruled and go learn? Moors were the ones that put it out of him in a lecture stating that we were calling ourselves Moors. Moors put that out. So if Dr. Ben, who's a doctorate holder, is teaching that we were calling ourselves Moors, who are these YouTube scholar niggers to tell you that we weren't calling ourselves Moors? If Dr. Ben, who went to Moorish University, is telling us that we were calling ourselves Moors, who are these people? How dare they? How dare they? And again, like we're saying, they're gonna call themselves everything in the book. They're gonna call themselves everything. But when it comes to Moors, they don't want to call themselves that. But they'll call themselves everything else? How does that even make sense? That you're everything else except Moors? They'll claim that the Vikings are dark-skinned people, but they're not Moors. They'll claim that the black guys of Asia built the pyramids or whatever, but they're not Moors. They'll claim Australians are dark-skinned people, and the people who are there now, they aren't really the Australians. The Australians are really the black like tar people who were there before those people who are there today, but they're not Moors. That's asinine. Now again, going back to these so-called Aboriginal indigenous, how come they don't refute these Moors right here who went to court under the name of Cherokee Nation of Moors? There's the case number right there, so you can go look it up. If they're saying that they're Aboriginal and indigenous, how come these Cherokees had enough sense to go to court and call themselves Cherokee Nation of Moors? Obviously, they know that they're not going to go fall into the jurisdiction of being classified under the Bureau of Indian Affairs like the Cherokees are. And keep in mind that these same Cherokees who are under the Bureau of Indian Affairs, these same Cherokees years ago were telling niggers they're kicking them out of the Cherokee tribe. Why are they doing that for? Because they know that the dark-skinned people are Moors. They're not tribes. That's how, again, we lost the birthrights. Again, 107 amazing facts. The indigenous Moorish Americans. 28. Moors were not conquered by Europeans or the so-called white man. Moors had a rich history of intertribal warfare amongst each other. Moors had a history of what? Intertribal warfare. Why was there warfare? Because they were being tribal. Once you're tribal, somebody's going to have a problem. Because some tribe is going to think that some other tribe doesn't deserve to be whoever they say that they are. Whereas nationality ends all that BS. Nationality trumps religion, nationality trumps tribe, nationality trumps group, nationality trumps association, organization, nationality trumps any type of decisive, Utah-minded, separatist tactics to keep the people not in unity. Nationality deads all that, which is why Noble Drew Ali came again to tell the Negroes, the blacks, the coloreds, and the Ethiopians that they are not those brands. They are Moors, because that's supposed to be the unity. What happened? These people wanted to stay in their Negro tribe. They wanted to stay in their black tribe. They wanted to stay in their colored tribe. They want to stay in their we're from Africa tribe. They want to stay in their indigenous tribe, calling themselves all these BS tribes. That Noble Drew Ali was from one of those tribes and said, forget tribes, it's about nationhood. But again, they don't want to listen to their prophet. They want to be Aboriginal and indigenous. When everybody knows that the Aboriginal and indigenous people prophesied that the white man's going to come to save them. And when the European came, they gave up their birthright to him like a dumbass because they wanted to play Indian. They wanted to play tribe. They wanted to play stuff that they're not. And now they're complaining. But all they got to do is get down on what Noble Drew Ali laid down because he was Cherokee. He was a Cherokee prophet. How are they not listening to him when he was a Cherokee prophet? How is it that they had a Cherokee prophet come to them, tell them that they're Moors, and they're playing like he got something from Aquarian gospel or whatever? And he's a Mason and all this type of stuff. The intertribal warfare that existed among Moors in the Western Hemisphere was so great that it left them in a state of impotency, with impotency setting in after years and years of clan warfare. In addition to the attraction of European trinkets, customs, and traditions, and the worshiping of a god named Jesus, all assisted in paving the way for European occupancy of Moorish lands, their spirits and their minds. The clan mindset separated us. Remember, this is European psychology. What did they do? What did they do with anybody? Okay. Anybody who lived the street life and got raided. Once a bunch of people got raided, you already know they're going to take you back to the station and they're going to put everybody in a separate room. Why are they doing that for? Because they know these people don't have national mindset, so their story's not going to be together. They know that they can trigger this guy and trigger that guy to tell on that guy, and then that guy to tell on that guy, and that guy to tell on everybody else. Same thing that they did in, you just name it, any situation that has to do with Asiatics, that has to do with dark-skinned people. If they want these people to start being against each other, you just whisper something to that guy and then don't tell that guy and see what happens. And then these two dumbasses are going to be arguing instead of having the common sense to say, hey, this guy right here told me that you said whatever, whatever. You say that? No, I didn't say that. This guy right here told me that you said whatever, whatever. You didn't say that? And then go beat this guy's ass for lying to both of them. Nah. They won't go there. One guy's going to go run, get the crew, and tell them that, yo, you know what this guy said about my mom or whatever? You verified that he said that? Yeah, he said that. I know he said that. inter-tribal clan mindset. And then they got us. Because we don't want to be of sound mind. We don't want to look our brother in the eye, look our sister in the eye, and deal with them like brother and sister. We want to deal with each other on some tribe mentality. Why? Because we're Esau-minded. No different than these people that right now are doing their little videos and stuff like that, talking BS about Moors. You think it's hard for them? You think it's hard? It's not hard. Come build with the Moors. Find out where there's loopholes in your stuff. Because trust me, there's loopholes in you guys, Aboriginal and Indigenous talk. We know this. Would they want to have a sit down with Moors? Nah. They want to do some panel, put their little link out there. Come on the panel so we can talk about this or whatever. And then you get on there and then they're cackling and laughing and playing games like this is a game, like people aren't dying out here. They're playing games for views. Like this is about views. This is about views. When I can bring little brother up every Sunday to do the Moorish American prayer, you think that we're joking around with this? Or you think we're playing? You think we're playing? Youth man is coming to the front of the temple to say the prayer, has adults so shook that they're going and taking pictures of the prayer on the wall so they could go home and go learn it. Because a youth man came up here and said prayer better than they even think that they know the prayer. Knows to tell people face the east, why to tell them face the east and all that. You think that this is some joke? They got children right now who we know, due to circumstances, their parents or whatever, can't make it to the temple for class. Youth home crying. They want to go to the temple. Why can't we go to the temple? Because whatever reason why. Crying. Because they can't go. What is it about what Noble Drawley brought that has these children wanting to be Moors? Has these children wanting to wear their fezzes? Have these children wanting to get their Circle 7 hat and all that? Children. I don't see none of these Aboriginal, Indigenous people, whatever, telling me about children want to wear feathers or whatever. Stop the BS. Because if that was the case, you would have been talking about it. So don't tell me about it now. I know you're not sending your children to no school with no damn feathers on. Stop lying. Playing around. Like Moors are the enemy. How are Moors the enemy? You know Moors the enemy? The Moorish Pavilion in Santa Maria la Ribera, first constructed for the St. Louis World Fair, 1902. Where's the Aboriginal Indigenous Pavilion at? How come there's no Aboriginal Indigenous Pavilion? Why? How come? How come there's no Aboriginal Indigenous Pavilion? Why is everything around here Moorish? And then they want to get mad when Moors say put Moors on everything. It's not us. That's the history. Everybody knows. Only people who don't study know. Only people who don't study don't know. Everybody else knows. J.J. Barclay tells with justifiable pride that his grandfather, the Honorable Thomas Barclay, negotiated the first treaty between the United States and the Empire of Morocco. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. The only people who don't know are the ones that don't study. And if they don't study, more than likely, they don't ride with Noble Drew Ali and all that stuff, because he told these Moors study 4 times. Study, and then study themselves. And they're not even doing that. And as soon as we start talking about studying, all of a sudden everybody has a problem. Because they're lazy asses. The only people who are lazy are Negroes. Nobody else lazy. Everybody knows the Negro is the laziest being on the planet. Nigger doesn't even want to go work for a European. Nigger doesn't want to go out there and sell drugs. He's going to sit on his ass, play video games, and call that living. Have ass sores from sitting down all the time. And then talking BS. They just want to sit on their little thing and have, what you call it, super chat, and have you donate to them so that they could sit on their ass all day, not do anything. Have Patreon so you can go over there and go support their whatever, so they could sit on their ass and buy a new microphone and buy a new camera. We've been at the same camera for freaking 7 years. We need a new camera for every goddamn time. We need a mic for. Camera has a mic. What do you mean? People could hear stuff clear. You know, these people are playing. There's a lot more. You got anything to add in?
Just to add on to what you were just saying, same camera for 7 years, and I'm listening to that, and I'm like, man, like, because that's what they think it's about. You know, if I become a Moor, I could travel in my conveyance for free. You know, like not have a license and all of that stuff, like, because they always want to benefit. But like you just said, I got the same camera for 7 years. It's not about getting something. They always want to get something. I think that's a big, major problem. You know, like, because they're looking at it wrong. They still have Negro mentality. They still thinking backwards. Like, I got to get something. I got to look a certain way so I can be successful and stuff. But your mind is wrong. Your mind is wrong. Like, I know Moors who have Moorish tags or whatnot on their conveyance, and
Ben had Moorish tags.
Ben had, that's old. That's when I came into it, it was old.
Right.
It was old then. When I first came, tags was old then. They were telling me, oh yeah, that's old. I was like, what?
Ben had that.
Ben had that. That's old. That's how old it is. Ben doing that.
And those Moors who have tags, trust me, they didn't go to some Moor. They're like, hey, how did I get the tags? Guaranteed. That's not how they got tags. Guaranteed.
How I put plates on my car.
Yeah,
no,
how?
That's not how that ever, nope.
How do I do that? Can you show me how to get tags? There was no Moors doing that.
Nope. It was not with that language. You wasn't going around talking about how I get plates on my car. No. You got to go through the first 30-something classes of class first before you can even, because your language is wrong. You're not even talking right, like you said earlier. You know, like, oh, you want plates on your car? Nope. You don't even know what you're talking about. You about to get kidnapped and say, oh, that Moorish stuff doesn't work. That's what you about to say. That's what you about to say, because your mindset is wrong. I walk everywhere. And I don't have no problem. I have a conveyance. I have my own conveyance. My motorbike guy has her conveyance. I have my own conveyance too. I walk. I walk everywhere, no problem. Because it's for me, it's better. It's just better for me. Like walking and seeing people just pulled over and conveyance accidents and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, I avoid all of this. And then, you know, people excise taxes. I hear somebody, you know, in my consanguinity, they complain, you know, oh, my excise tax is 153 notes. And I'm like, I don't have that problem. You know, people who have so-called car notes, I don't have that problem. You know, like, I don't have, and then I'm like, wow, like, right? You want to exercise right to travel is expensive. like, you're like, yeah, but you still got to do all that. But now I can do other stuff. You know, I can go down south, whatever. You know, whenever I, you know, because the notes aren't spent on gas and all of that stuff. I can walk.
Exactly.
Because
at this point, 2019, when you talk about so-called, you know, driving or whatever, that's not a privilege anymore. That's an expense now. Like, it's not even a privilege. Gas is out the roof. To go fix your car is out the roof. If you live somewhere where there's winter and all that stuff, now they're fining you if you don't have the right tires on and all this BS. You want to deal with all that?
What? If you don't have, you gotta have your lights on. If it's raining here and you ain't got your lights on, they pull you over.
Please.
It could be
and that's a $500.
It could be.
And that's a $500 ticket.
It's awarded. And I'm like, what happened? Well, they pulled me over. I had my lights on because it was raining. What? That's what they do. I didn't even know they were doing that. I've been walking. I've been walking. I didn't even know they was doing that. Crazy. Yeah, I'm like, man, like, and they want to exercise right to travel. That's crazy. Now, like, that's an expense right now. You better get your magic carpet.
You better get that carpet. You better find a bottle with a genie or something like that, because
right. And then you're back. But if you really look at it, you're back to hurting them again. You know, because that's their finance. You know, if I'm not paying insurance, that's hurting that insurance company stuff. Yeah. Crap. If I don't have a license, that's hurting that DMV stuff. Crap. You know, that's all their finance. Because I'm walking, you know, I'm not even paying for PBTA. I'm not paying for nothing. That hurts them horribly bad. Horrible, because that's their whole thing is to make finance. And then I'm walking around growing my own produce, you know, like I'm hurting them, but I'm self-sufficient and all of that, doing what my ancestors wanted us to do. You know, and it's better. It's way better. But I know I don't have, you know, the 20-inch rims. I don't have the system. I don't have the roll my tip windows down and look at me. You know, I don't have that. Nope, I don't have that. But I can walk to any store around here in my vicinity, walk in, get groceries or food, and walk out. No notes. Because my brothers from there, everybody know me. Everybody know me over here. It's the same situation. Everybody know me. You know, because I'm bringing you produce. I grow some food. I bring it to your store. How much you? Ain't no. I don't worry about it. So when I come back, I ain't got no notes. I'm just going grocery shopping. Oh, don't worry, brother Yusuf, you good? Oh, all right. It's love. See that? It's not. That's what I came. And I realized I'm walking home like it's not even about the notes. It was never about the notes. I'm the richest man in the world. I get whatever I want.
Right, and then on the side of the Moors who have licenses and state plates and whatever, you got good driving record. These people never pulled you over in 10 years or whatever. Then you're straight. What are you worried about? Yeah. You go get some plates now and then have these people running down on you every goddamn day when everything's good right now. Because remember, no such thing as money. That 600 insurance that you're paying, you're not paying anything. You didn't give them anything.
Yep.
Oh, the gas. Yep. You got to put the stuff in the nozzle in the tank, fill it up, and you just give them paper, and then you drive off, and you're complaining. It's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. And if they do stop you and give you some ticket or whatever like that, you can still go in there as a Moor and fight it. Even if you have the license. Because we know Moors with licenses right now that they go to court and they fight their ticket and they get off their stuff. Because it's about perspective. It's not about you got something going on and then they can't do this and they can't do this. That's not what it's about. You're warped in your mindset of what this is. This is for the young and unborn. Set it up so that little brother, little sister doesn't have to get a license. Don't worry about you. You're already tainted. They already conditioned you. You don't worry about saving you. Because you're going to be saving a conflict that can't be told in words. So forget you. How about pass this information to the young ones so that when they get of age, they can say, you know what, I don't want no license. I'm going to just go get my own place because I'm more. Imagine they got it from birth. When they get 18 years, they're 18 years ahead of the game. When they're 21, they're 21 years ahead of the game because from birth they knew that they were more. They had L and Bay when they came out the womb by their parents. Who's you? Perspective. That's what's going to save you. Is your perspective in the right direction? Or are you just out here just listening to whoever and think that because they got a YouTube page with 50,000 subscribers, then, oh yeah, those guys must be the guys to listen to because they know what's going on. No, they probably don't know what's going on. More than likely, they don't know what's going on. San Bernardino's Son, volume 44, number 79. You might want to write this down so you can go do some research. Especially you Aboriginal, Indigenous, whoever's. San.
You just went in, Grand Sheik, too. I just want to let you know that.
Islam more. Yeah, because I've been in both worlds. I've been in the side of have our own tags. I've been in the side of have state plates.
Yep.
My position is forget giving these people anything. I'll take the bus for $3 opposed to give these people $600 insurance, even though there's no money. But I'd rather give $3 than $600 to anybody because I could take that $600, put that into the temple so that the children could have some coloring books and they can have some fezzes and they can have some whatever so that they can feel happy being Moors. Make sure they have some food, some sandwiches every time they come to the temple so they could be straight. I'll take my $600, put it to that, opposed to give it to these colonists so that they can not give me anything back when I've been traveling, driving for 20 years, never got in an accident ever, but they're not giving me back any finance that I just gave them $600 every month for some damn insurance. Forget them.
Yeah, right.
The hell am I giving them $600 for? And then the side of having your own tags, even if you have your own tags, these people are so criminal that they're not even looking out here. You know, we're not talking about the jurisdictions where Moors been had their tags for the past 15, 20 years. When they get pulled over, they get to have a nice day, Mr. Bay and all that stuff. They don't play that stuff up here. I had own tags here. And they steal your property here. Even though they didn't steal the property, they towed it to my house, which let me know, okay, well, yeah, something's obviously, something's warped here. There's some type of twilight zone going on. If you're gonna pull me over, you're gonna give me all these tickets, you're gonna steal the tags off, but then you're gonna tow the conveyance to my house, not impound it. That let me know that this is the twilight zone. And I don't do twilight zone. I'm gonna just get on this bus, leave an hour early, and still get there before people who have conveyances because traffic sucks.
Yep. I've done that.
Still get there the same time with people with conveyances. How do you get here? Took conveyance. How do you get here? I was in traffic for an hour. Should have parked up at the train station and took the damn transit here. You would have been here in good time. Or, you know some good Moors who's going to say, hey, you need a ride, and they come get you.
Yep.
With their license or their tags or whatever they got. It doesn't even matter.
Had Moorish, my true story, Grand Sheik, had Moorish fighting over me to give me a ride home yesterday. I'm coming from my house, they're in front. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm like, yo, I'm good. I don't need a ride. It was like, how you don't need a ride? Both of them yelling at me. Both of them. My aunt yelling at me and my cousin. How you don't want a ride? I'm like, yo, I don't need a ride. I'm good. I don't want a ride. And then my aunt leaves. My cousin, I come outside, my other aunt's house, I come outside. She's still there. Rolls the window down, gives me the, like, yo, come on, man, let me give you a ride. And I'm like, yo, I'm good, man. Just go ahead. Begging to give me a ride. I'll walk.
Yep, that's the good part.
I'll walk. I'm telling you.
That's the good part.
Fighting to give you a ride. I'm like, yo, I told my sister, like, Ebony, because we're studying. I've been reading a lot of this power of the mind. Whatever I want, I'm gonna get it. You know what I mean? I'm not really, and I notice it really does work. Like, it's my world. Whatever I want to happen is gonna happen. So I've been creating it, and it's amazing to watch it happen. And it really is amazing to see. Like, a conveyance for what? I can get a ride anytime I want. Look at them fighting over me to give me a ride. They're fighting to give me a ride. What you mean you don't want a ride? I'm like, I don't need it.
And going back to that thing you were saying, that even if you don't get a ride, big deal. To walk or jump on the bus, big deal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I still remember the one. I still remember the walking day when the snowstorm.
Oh yeah.
When you had doing class in the snowstorm, walking outside.
It's a snowstorm blizzard. It was a snowstorm blizzard doing class, walking. Didn't bother me. But I'm telling you, I've never seen so much walking.
Yeah.
I've seen Moorish castles.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Land I never
seen.
I'm like, yo, I didn't even know that was back there. You know what I mean? Like, what's that? Like, and I'm like, I've been here all my life.
Yeah.
I've been here all my life. What's that over there? I didn't know that. But seeing castles, like, because I know where I'm at now. I know the history. I know I'm in Morocco. And I'm like, yo, these are really castles. And to see serpents all over on castles, carved in them. I'm like, no, look at the serpent, look at the snakes. Look at it, look at everything. Minarets, everything still up. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
Still up.
Like to see, but when I'm in the conveyance, you miss it. You miss it. Because you focusing on the road, you're looking at the traffic.
Focusing on other people. Other people who can't convey properly. You got to watch out for them.
Yeah. Looking out for highwaymen, because I don't want to get, you don't got your right to travel. Now you're looking at them every 2 seconds. You missed it. You missed it. I don't have no problem.
Yep.
No problem. None. This ain't no problem. The problem was when I had to, for me, I'm saying for me, the problem was when I had the conveyance. That was the problem.
For real.
That was trying to do what I got to do to make the so-called car note. Like, oh, okay, you can't buy this week because you know what's coming up. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, no more of that. That's gone.
Did I mention the mechanic raping you?
Say that again?
Did I mention also the mechanic raping you? So don't forget, if you don't have a mechanic, you're.
Oh yeah, come on.
That's a racket in itself. The mechanic guy. If you don't know mechanic guy, You might as well just
Yeah.
just have the axles,
Because
no
he has
body,
to
and
make a
just ride
private,
the
he got to
axles
make a
down
living
there.
too.
Yep.
You think he's going to fix your convenience one time only, and that's it? He's going to fix it enough where you have to come back. Because that's what keeps him in business.
Yeah.
That's how he makes his business. Same thing with the doctor. That's what keeps him in business. They can't just fix you.
They can't just fix you 100%. No way. How are they going to live? They need to rape somebody.
Spray some Fix-A-Flat on there and send you out. Make you feel like you good. Oh, okay, I'm good.
I'm good.
And that air just easing out.
2 days. 2 days later. 2 days later. Stuff shaking. But we were going to San Bernardino Sun, volume 44, number 79. Remember, write this down, all you indigenous whoever's. San Bernardino Sun, volume 44.
For me, Gracie?
Oh, SanBernardino. San Bernardino Sun, volume 44, number 79, 31st of May, 1916. One more time, San Bernardino Sun, volume 44, number 79, 31st of May, 1916. Right, for all those who say that we're not Moorish American. Moorish America. What kind of people do live in South America? The Spanish, the Portuguese, but chiefly the descendants of these European races who have intermarried with the Indians. Other nations have made lesser contributions to Brazil, which is only a few days by steamer from West Africa, is 1/3 Negro, the crudest type of Negro on the American hemisphere. Oh, on the American hemisphere. There is a strong mark of the Moor upon the Spaniard. The Arabic Moor wrought his customs very deeply into the life of Spain. The people of Mexico and Cuba might be called Moorish Americans rather than Latin Americans. The customs, manners, and heart experiences in these people of Latin America are more Moorish than Christian, more Muslim and more Arabic than Spanish. San Bernardino Sun, volume 44, number 79, 31st of May, 1916.
Another reference point.
Yet another reference point. Yet another reference point.
And I didn't hear you say like a Bay Day or Ali wrote that.
No.
So that's their right. That's their God, because we know that the European is their God as their reference point, letting them know.
Yep. You had the whole world on lock. Right? Look up this author, Gunnar Lindgren. Gunnar Lindgren. 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 The Arabic roots of jazz and blues. The Arabic roots of jazz and blues. It is interesting to note that not all the black colonists of the first wave were bearers of African culture, but rather of Arabic culture. They were born and raised on the Iberian Peninsula and had, over the course of generations, exchanged their African culture for the Moorish Arabic culture. Spain had been under Arabic rule since the 8th century, and when the last stronghold of the Moors fell in 1492, the rulers of the reunified Spain, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, gave the go-ahead for the epoch-making voyages of Christopher Columbus. The outstanding cultural life of the Moors. Of all the conquerors who contributed to Spanish culture, the ones generally considered to have had the greatest impact are the Arabs. Much of what we view today as typically Spanish is in fact a residue of Arabic culture. In Cordoba, the capital during the reign of the Moors, a dazzling cultural scene developed. Artists and philosophers, as well as science, were favored. The court in Cordoba pulsed outwards, reaching the rest of Europe and offering reacquaintance with the forgotten learning of Greek and Alexandrian classical antiquity. Other areas where the Arabs were forerunners were architecture and structural engineering, trade and commerce, production of textiles, paper and arms, and mining, framing and breeding. They brought rice, cotton, oranges, apricots, and peaches to Europe. They developed a high level of education with libraries, bookstores, general literacy, etc. We should remember the Arabs especially as pioneers in the areas of hygiene and medical care. They possess knowledge of anesthesia, gynecology, mental care, hospital case sheets, the prevention of disease transmission, pharmacy construction, and the need for rehabilitation. They were also most tolerant toward different religious denominations and types of cultural expression. Jews, as well as gypsies, could feel safe in Moorish society, which was exemplary in creating a multicultural society. Keep in mind, he's talking about the Arabic roots of jazz and blues. Arabic roots of jazz and blues. But he had to bring up the infamous Moors. And keep in mind that anywhere you go and you see multicultural society, where many societies, or there's quote unquote a melting pot going on, guess who that had to do with? Guess where they got that from? They got that from the Moors. Because everybody knows. So only our people playing around. What's in a name? Heru Ranasi El. What's in a name? We Moorish American nationals, Aboriginal indigenous inhabitants of the Americas, for over 50,000 years, the bearers of the original name for the Americas, which is a Mexam, honor our noble foremothers and forefathers by bearing the pedigree name of the said foremothers and forefathers with the intention of doing so in perpetuity. The Moors, being the original Al-Moroccans, which is to say Americans, are contractually bound to our forefathers and foremothers by a covenant which states, honor thy foremother and forefather, and thy days will be long upon the earthland that the great God Allah hath given thee. This is no mere scriptural reference. It constitutes a covenant, a compact agreement between the Moorish ancient fathers and the descendant heir apparent of the ancient fathers, who are those branded Negro, Black, Colored, African American, Latino, Jamaican, Trinidadian, etc. These are those who, after the overthrowing of their forefathers' global empire, became victims of conquest and subjugation, were held as prisoners of war, and came out of their forced enslavement bearing the free national name of Europeans, yet do not resemble, bear common ancestry with, have the same ancestral divine creed as those presently called Europeans with respect to their respective nations. Path to obtaining citizenship begins with the Dawes Rolls research. The Dawes Rolls, or final rolls of citizens and freedmen of the 5 civilized tribes, or Dawes Commission of Final Rolls, were created by the United States Dawes Commission. The commission was authorized by United States Congress in 1893 to execute the General Allotment Act of 1887. Applications for the Dawes Rolls of the 5 civilized tribes were accepted from 1898 to 1907, which created a list of Indians by blood in Indian Territory during this time. To be eligible for a certificate of degree of Indian blood and citizenship in one of these tribes, including Chickasaw, an individual must establish he or she is a lineal descendant of an original enrollee. Connection to the Chickasaw ancestor on the Dawes Rolls is essential for Chickasaw citizenship. Right? In order for you to be an Indian, the U.S. has to vouch for you. The U.S. has to see that you have a connection to some other serf, some other Aboriginal Indigenous ward that's on the Dawes Rolls in order for you to be able to get your Aboriginal and Indigenous ID from the chiefs who sold you out to the Dawes Rolls. Again, the Aboriginals aren't going to tell you this. The Moors, we have our own Moorish whatever to get our citizenship in order because we're Moors and we're Aboriginal and Indigenous to the land. We don't need a colonizer's court in order to be Moors. But in order to be Aboriginal and Indigenous, you're going to go to the tribe. The tribe is going to tell you, you need to go check the Dawes Rolls to see if your family member who's quote unquote Indian is on there. Those Dawes Rolls are held by the U.S. Corps. The corpse is then going to give you a certificate that you're going to take now to the indigenous guys for them to tell you, oh, the U.S. vouched for you, we're going to make you a citizen now. You don't see a problem with that? Oh, you don't see a problem with that. You're down with doing that, but you're not down with going to the Moorish Science Temple proclaiming your nationality, or you're not down with going to the Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs and proclaiming your nationality, or you're not down with getting a piece of used toilet paper, put your free national name on that, and say that that's your ID since you're Aboriginal Indigenous, but you're down with going to these colonizers who you know that they're colonizers and getting them to vouch for you to go back to your chief who sold you out in order to be an Indian. It sounds Esau-minded to me. That sounds Esau-minded. The Genealogy Archive Center can provide a wealth of information and assistance when seeking Indian ancestors. You might as well go look up who founded the Genealogy Archive Center. Just make sure you go check. Make sure it's your chiefs who founded that. The building houses genealogy collections, historical maps, photo archives, historic documents, census records, and a complete set of Dawes Commission rolls are available. Information such as family names, birth and death years, parents' names, marriage dates, and tribal affiliation are needed to aid genealogy staff with the research. You gotta go through all this? No jolly said proclaim your nationality. You're not Negro, black, colored. You're Moors. But the Indian guys want you to go get family name, birth and death years, parents' name. Half these people can't even get their great-great-grand whoever's name. Because mom's been Negro for so long or Indian for so long, they don't know that information. There's a disconnect. Again, why Drew Ali made the statement. If you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. The least that you could do is just declare your nationality. That's the least you could do. You want to be somebody? Declare your nationality. We go to no colonists to go get some Dawes roll BS. Right? Don't do it. Don't listen to them. Trust me. These Aboriginals are no different than all those jokers around Noble Drew Ali who took the Drew payoff, who took the Ashkenazi payoff. Took the Ashkenazi payoff, and now they're trying to convince you that, you know, their way is the way to go. Their way is not the way to go. Trust me, their way is not the way to go. Because where they're leading you is right back. Where they're leading you is right back into slavery. King Ferdinand's letter to the Taino Arawak Indians. In the name of King Ferdinand and Juana, his daughter, Queen of Castile and Leon, conquerors of barbarian nations, we notify you as best as we can that our Lord God eternal created heaven and earth and a man and a woman from whom we all descend for all times and over the world. In the 5,000 years since creation, the multitude of these generations caused men to divide and establish kingdoms in various parts of the world, among whom God chose St. Peter as a leader of mankind regardless of their law, sect, or belief. He seated St. Peter in Rome as the best place from which to rule the world, but he allowed him to establish his seat in all parts of the world and rule all people, whether Christians, Moors, Jews, Gentiles, or any other sect. He was named Pope, which means admirable and greatest father, governor of all men. Those who lived at this time obeyed St. Peter as Lord and superior king of the universe, and so did their descendants obey his successors, and so on to the end of time. Now, how come they're not telling these people in their little letter to the Arawaks or whatever that the Pope copied everything from Ptah, from the headdress to the crook to the flail to the clothes that he's wearing to St. Peter's Basilica to the throne that he's sitting on to the balcony that he's going to stand on to address all the masses of the infidels and all that stuff came from Aboriginal indigenous people and not from some Europeans. How come they're going to tell these people that they're Indians when they know that over there is not India? How come they're going to tell them Taino and Arawak Indians? Why are they tagging Indians on there? Oh, because Indians means those without God. And since they don't have a God, they need their Pope, which is why the Pope just came out a couple of days ago to go meet with the indigenous people and go celebrate with them with their little fertility gods and stuff like that. When he doesn't have a brown Madonna that he's kissing in the bottom of the Vatican. in the Vatican dungeon. The Pope has the most darkest mother that he could find. And they're worshiping that. They're not worshiping no fertility gods. All they're doing is just placating with the Aboriginal and indigenous people to think that their Pope has blessed them and their Pope loves them because he's around them and worshiping their fertility gods. No, that's not what's going on. Those people are Los Indios. And the Pope, as we're finding out in King Ferdinand's letter or whatever, St. Peter is the Aboriginal and indigenous superior king of the universe. And all these people's chiefs sold them out. And here they are today. Here they are today, still playing, still attempting to play their little games. When we know that they're playing games, and we know that they have no intention of helping the people get free, their job is to keep the people enslaved. Because again, they are Los Indios. They are those without God. So that means they don't even have God within them. They're Esau-minded. They've abandoned their birthrights for a bowl of red pottage. And now they're trying to get you to abandon your birthright. And they're not even giving you any pottage. They just want you to abandon your stuff. Islam more.
Islam.
You got anything else to throw out there?
Yeah, you were mentioning about earlier something to the fact about the Indian Bureau of Affairs and stuff like that, and being registered, all that stuff. And, okay, she's had it. Okay. This is coming out of the book Nazi Nexus, America's Corporate Connections to Hitler's Holocaust by Edwin Black. Right? And
I bet you is Edwin Black a European?
Right. You know he is too. You know he is. Edwin Black, right. Nazi Nexus. The name of the book is Nazi Nexus, America's Corporate Connections to Hitler's Holocaust. And I want to show you how all that signing up, being on all those Bureau of Indian Affairs and being classified in any of those things that those Europeans were making up. Okay, perfect. If we knew, now that you just bring it to light, if you're saying that, being on those lists basically dilutes to slavery, right? Like, being on it, like them making that Bureau of Indian Affairs and us looking at it as a benefit to prove that we're indigenous, you bring into the light that that's not what they were doing. That what they were really doing is corrupt, like putting you back into slavery, branding you, not giving you a nationality and stuff like that. They're putting you under a subject, under a classification. What the book Nazi Nexus explains is that information that they got from y'all, that you gave and you signed up and you were given, it not only, like the Grand Chief just said, not only was it not to prove that you were indigenous, it was a setup. It was to prove it was a setup for eugenics. We think it's genetics. It's not genetics. It's eugenics. Mm-hmm. It was a setup for classification. Mm-hmm. And what they were doing was, that's what I want to get. Okay. It says, all right, we can just go right? And okay, all right. So it says in 1910, using Carnegie resources and money contributed by the Harriman Railroad fortune, Davenport added a eugenics record office, the ERO, abbreviated. Davenport designated tactician Harry Latham was appointed to head up the office. The ERO's mission was to quietly register the genetic backgrounds of all Americans, separating the defective strands from the desired lineages. This is what they was doing. You think that they was just, you was just giving your stuff up, and this is where I'm, and that too, the DNA, I'm gonna find out where I'm from. Yeah, brother, y'all crazy. Y'all trusting these European colonists. Look what they're doing. The ERO's mission is to register the genetic backgrounds of all Americans, separating the defective strands from the desired lineages. The self-aggrandizing, laughing, borrowed nomenclature and charting procedures from the world of animal breeding, inflating every concept into a tenet of social engineering. Family trees would be called pedigrees. People be talking about, what's your pedigree and all that? No. That's fraud. Family trees would be called, quote unquote, pedigrees to be analyzed and judged like those of dogs or a horse. Where would the ERO, the eugenics record office, where would the ERO obtain these family details? They lie hidden, Davenport told his ABA colleagues, in records of numerous charity organizations, our 42 institutions of feeble-minded, our 115 schools and homes for the deaf and blind, our 350 hospitals for the insane, our 1,200 refuge homes, our 1,300 prisons, our 1,500 hospitals, and our 2,500 outhouses. You think these Europeans playing with y'all? They all of that stuff. You think they would put in Indian burial fairs and setting all of that stuff up for you to be native or Aboriginal, indigenous? That's a lie.
Yeah.
The ERO's mission is to register genetic backgrounds of all Americans, separating the defective strains from the desired lineages. Right? And then it says a leading Virginia racist eugenist John Powell explained his state's interracial marriage eugenics prohibition in these words, quote, of course, laws against intermarriage cannot solve the Negro problem in any of its aspects, industrial, economic, political, social, biological, or eugenical. They can, however, delay the evil day and give time for the involvement of an effective solution, a real and final solution. Virginia eugenicists were determined to wipe out more than blacks. They also wanted to do away with Indians, mixed race families, and poor whites, a group that state officials collectively called mongrel Virginians. In fact, the state actually published an official reference pamphlet entitled Mongrel Virginians to expound on the issue. So you can, it's a documented fact from the state. Like, they put it out. It's called the Mongrel Virginians. You can Google it. They're telling you the steps that they were taking to wipe out Indians, mixed race families, and poor whites. But you think it's burial and Indian affairs and I'm indigenous. Nope. It was a setup. It's a setup. It's eugenics. It says, look at this. Designed to confuse. Better Test 6, for example, offer 20 simple sketches with something missing, quote unquote, fix it. The subject was instructed, like, to take the test. They were saying fix it, like they give you an example. They're saying fix it. The tested person was then expected to pencil in the missing element. Bowling balls were missing from a bowling lane. The center net was subtracted from a tennis court. The encasement filament was erased from a light bulb. A stamp was missing from a postcard. Naturally, in those early 20th century days, many well or immigrant individuals with great intelligence had never bowled, played tennis, purchased a light bulb, or mailed a postcard. The alpha test employed trick questions to ask poor, rural people or immigrants to identify pop culture such as tobacco brands and advertising campaigns they had never been exposed to. The alpha and beta test proved to scientists that 47% of whites genuinely, 70% of Jews, and 89% of Negroes were deserving of eugenic elimination. The technical term moron was coined. The eugenic system was refined into what is today known as the intelligence quotient, or the IQ test. Y'all thinking, look at y'all. Look at that. Look at that. It's a setup. It don't. The IQ test don't make you smart. It's a setup. It's a setup. The whole thing is a setup. That's how I be looking. I be like, man, everything these European colonists do, or try to get you, or you sign up for it.
Something. They're up to something. They're up to something.
It's a setup every time, and I'm like, brother, Barrow and Indian affairs. That's eugenics. It was to put you, round you up, and to wipe you out easily. Now I don't gotta go chase around and find you. Make them sign this paper, think they're gonna get a benefit. You know these so-called Negroes love a benefit. Love a benefit. Make them think they're gonna get something for free.
Make them think they're gonna get it. And as soon as soon as they're on the hook, it's over.
Yank them in. Yep. Edwin Black goes in on eugenics. All of that stuff. Because I was like, man, they keep talking about DNA. Go find your lineage. And I'm like, brother, all that stuff is eugenics.
Love a benefit.
To get classified, documented fact. Carnegie in his expedition there, all this goes all the way back to Hitler. Hitler getting his funding from American corporate connections. He getting all that here because they was already setting up that stuff here. Been doing
set up, yeah. Islam more. Give thanks for that one.
Islam.
Give thanks for that one.
That's Barrow Indian affairs. That's eugenics. That's a setup for elimination. That's what that is. Documented fact by Edwin Black. Nazi Nexus. Get the book. He goes really, and he has YouTube videos too on it. Shocking the crowd in there, dumbfounded, not even talking, just looking. He was like, I know this information. And I'm like, yeah, you just killed the crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody's even talking about this guy. He's killing them. Killing them, European.
Had the crowd messed up.
Killing them. I'm like, brother, what are y'all playing games? All this cannons from over there. Yo, listen. Nazi Nexus. They're doing eugenics for classification. You playing games.
And don't forget, that's the same. That's the same game that they pulled Moors in, have them playing with you, and want you to go fill out SF 181 forms or whatever. Playing games, classifying you under somebody else's rules and regulations. Just use Moor in there, opposed to Moors just using it to show. See, they know who the Moors are. Number 667 says Moor, so they obviously know who the Moors are. No, they're telling Moors go fill them forms up.
Very interesting how why they coined the term moron for it too.
Yeah.
For the wipeout. Oh, like you ain't got no nationality, you didn't know? Moron? Now you're a moron.
Now you're a moron.
You're not a Moor, you're a moron now. Very, very interesting how they did that. I'm like, oh man, this book is amazing.
Nazi Nexus.
That's
why I'm telling y'all. That's why I'm telling y'all. Don't get caught up. Don't get caught up with my background or whatever. Yusuf got a library too.
Yep.
Yusuf got a library too. And I'm sure some other boys out there got some libraries that make me and Yusuf library look like some high school compared to Library of Congress or whatever.
Yeah.
So make sure you're studying, make sure you're getting this info, because the only thing that's gonna save us is knowledge, nothing else. Nothing else.
Nothing else.
The only thing gonna save us is knowledge.
And add on to what you just said, the only thing that's gonna save us is knowledge. They keep listening to these people and not studying. You keep listening to these YouTube scholars who just came out of nowhere, wasting your time and not building up your library. We should be studying. Don't waste your time listening to these so-called. These people don't even read. Green Sheet goes through. We name so many references every day. It's amazing.
Too many.
Amazing all the references you use every day.
Too many references.
That's how you know, because when you listen to them, there's no references. I'm like, so y'all clearly are not studying. Clearly not studying. They regurgitate, repeat other stuff from other videos they saw. No knowledge. No dictionary references. No, nothing. Like you said, Green Sheet, just setting up Patreon, PayPal, or whatever, and donate so they can sit on their behinds and not do anything, not be productive.
That's like we were telling the Moors on the weekend, who unfortunately got gamed buying packages, from these low lives out here, right? The ones who are out here doing the work, they get nothing. And the people sitting on their ass, for some strange, warped, weird reason, are able to amass thousands of notes from people for nothing. All you gotta do is go on their computer, sit on their ass, But it is what it is. We already know that next plane, we're gonna be the ones in the high seat. So we're already on the high road. But don't forget, Moors, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, MHHS, eyes wide open. Call-in number 319-527-6751. 319-527-6751. 425-569-5201. 425-569-5201. Islam to you, Brother Yusuf. Give thanks once again. I was also trying to contact with some other Moors who wanted to put out some info, so we'll try to get with them this week. And don't forget rvbaypublications.com. Go get your study on. Go buy some books. Start your library. khalifamedia.com. Go get all GS Kudrow's books. If you need some basic getting back to where we are, new to this information, go on the Canaanland Moors page or channel and go to the Back to Basics playlist. Watch those 30 classes. Once you can get those 30 classes, you should be all right. If you can't get through those, probably need some more work. Go sit down somewhere in a corner and humble yourself. And and don't forget willofalah.com to get all that music that we play on our channel. Peace to all the Moors in the chat. Peace to all the Moors worldwide, wherever you're at, the Moors who are going to see this. And don't forget, try to get your call in by 9:15 because the call fills up fast. And again, honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali for the monumentous work that he did in bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government. And to all active Moors who've been doing the work that the Prophet left for us to do. Islam to you. Peace and love, Moors. Islam. And we'll just close you out with a little something because you already know you got to take care of you.
As I jump off my mind's cliff into subconscious depths, knowing my higher and knowing my lower self, falling past my thoughts that got me in trouble. Realizing ego is a burstable bubble. Falling backwards seems like there's no end or bottom. Cut out the good. I see no thoughts rotten. No modern European's mentality, all Asiatic. The scent of this fall, aromatic. Tea tree oil and frankincense, so intense. Demons beaten from outside make no indents. Plus no entrance without the mastermind key. Thoughts of Allah wasn't a lie, but actually me, divine being, a national, actual, factual, Moorish scientist, seeing things mathematical. Law is length, angle, and width. With mind strength, mangle a sift. When devils was burning, sulfur a whiff. Lower self, third eyes crushed, that's the weed in my split. From these lows, the only way to uplift. 40 days and 40 nights working the graveyard shift. Battling zombies, which are my own that exist. Playing my emotions as string strum or Congo drums. Seeing things and hearing sounds, no fear around. Looking down, not seeing the ground, but feeling my crown. Pulsating so profound, soul unbound. Inhale for 7, hold for 4. Exhale for 7, hold for 4. Double door 11, walk through the gateway frame of eternal flames. No burns, no regard, unreal is unreal, no blame. My pure freedom and bliss, demigod trying to contain. On my journey of learning fear, embracing pain. Since love heals on the path of living cognizance, patience is a virtue. I'd rather take the long distance. Aware mental clearness, mind's tailless with fierceness. All it seduced to get me locks and beardless. Electromagnetic helix, induce the voltage. Begging ancestors to increase the dosage, produce a strong field, rubbing together shaman stone balls, releasing the stress, calling Orishas, decreasing my breath. But are you really breathing? Knowing or believing? I'm after fruition and receiving from birthright retrieving. Are you in trance without doing a ritual dance? Paralysis, magic, reversal on the square stance. Harmonic lyrical mudra from Islam Sutra. Elevate thoughts, wake up your inner symbols and Buddhas. Master your will, not desires. Awaken Kundalini fires. True spoken to MCs higher. Medusa, you liars. Bagging heads and horns and tails for mystic functions. Ritualistic, perched at the junction where demons go to and fro, dressed as the sheeple, selling them rights, civil and pseudo rights equal. Blood flowing past a horse brow didn't circle your passion. Celestial thread of my ancestors, tailored my fashions. Fooling people with their words and people not watching their actions. Ignorance of law is no excuse when something happens. Feeling eyes and reading postures, moving bionic. Monsanto seeds, turn you psychopharmaceutical chronic. Got their eyes bloody, blood muddy for blood money. They gave me nothing, so can't take nothing from me. I love the quote, you will respect but don't have to love me. They gave me nothing, so can't take nothing from me.
And conscious means that you're conscious of what's going on in this world. You're fully aware and awake to what's going on in this world. That's what conscious rap means. So if you got conscious rap, that means you got unconscious rap. That means you got motherfuckers that's unconscious rapping. That means they sleeping. They still under the spell of Leviathan. They still under the spell of kingdom.
Call me brother man, I'm not the rubber man. Though I keep my Nazis in affairs wrapped with some rubber bands. Running out the Ku Klux Klan and with the Grand Dairy Queen misters. Just butts of guns I'm giving. Trying to make more sovereign citizens, these minions. Help kill your prophets, stole your treasury millions. You heard it from your brother man. Now the smothers sell out. Sets links in K2 Kush days. Keep me red out. I got the knowledge to make these silly hoes question the pimping directors of music videos. Gay laws and persons with strap-on boots with heels. Too much graphic art faces. Boobs are not real. Since MCM and Troop, they use Timberland boots to get us all caught up in fashion, not the simple men roots. Got our people on dogmatic, not metaphysic. Exoteric, not esoteric is how you missed it. So out of it, you couldn't feel the natural mystic blowing through the air like it didn't give a shit. I hear the dirty Moors dissing, cause I said profanities. A lot of these grand sheets need to take off the panties. Pull the thong out your crack vest wearing sashes, nigga. Return to where the prophet found you, Negro. What's that, nigga?
It's time to choose a side. You either positive or you negative. You either evil or you good. You understand what I'm saying? Choose a side, nigga. I know what side I'm on.
I throw a Molotov at the priest that works for the beast. All they want is our people to rest in peace. No attention of allowing more stress to ease. Cracker won't go home to spread himself the disease. Genocidal epidemic kill us in high proportions. Instead of mummified, we stay boxed in coffins. Mayors attend funerals for PR purposes. Where's the police escort? He replied with nervousness. He said, I don't have those numbers or connections to have Metro Police lead your friend's funeral procession. That's coming from Mr. Mayor, black community player. No question in the hoods, dropping off boxes of weapons. Then blame black on black crime or natural causes. Plus those doctors are not on point but off a bit. Natural mystics prove they're not holistic. Hypocrite oaths make your children autistic.
I'm at the point now, you know what I'm saying? I'm tired of mixing the medicine with the food. I'm tired of playing that game. Now I'm shoving straight medicine down your fucking throat, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Straight doses of medicine and getting shoved down your throat. I don't give a fuck if it turns you off or not. But if it do turn you off, then you're stupid, ignorant motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Don't judge like a cover of your favorite book. Visit you in your dream time with the hook. Paralysis overtook. So shook, stop, look, listen with precision. MC on a mission, vision. Past senses and endless. Cypher with active Moors, beat you with facts senseless. Have your mind defenseless when the truth enters. I glow. Reminds me of Omar Bay, Algonquin embers. Tap your pioneer out what some man remembers. All the lies told to your mind dismembered. Circle broken into quadrants, either 7 in the center compass. G between the square, Baphomet of Templars. Warlock, call on my witch mothers to maim them. The same wise spirits burned at stakes in Salem. Torture with vagina pair, survive, bobbing for apples. Contort thumb slide, wrist out, tight shackles.
I always got something deep to say. Every time around. I always got something deep to say. Every time around. I always got something deep to say. Every time around. I always got something deep to say. Every time around.